Diablo 4 Campfire Chat. My name is Adam Fletcher. I'm the
하영식
community director
라이브
here for Diablo. I'm
시작합니다.
joined by two very familiar faces. Regular appearing people on Campfire Chats. I have Mr. Adam Jackson here, so our lead class designer, and Mr. Joey P, Joe Pipora, our associate game director. He doesn't like it when I say Joey P.
I don't hate it. It's just it feels like a running gag that like very few people have.
Yeah.
어서 와요.
Our production director. Very
얄미운 친구들이 많이 보이네.
Joey P on deck. Yeah. What's up?
뭐 아담 플래처 이 친구는 잘못이 없어요.
We have a lot of updates
그냥 아나운서기
for
때문에.
Diablo 4. Of course, we have our mid-season
아담
updates
잭슨 이
coming up
친구가
this week.
클래스 디자이너거든요.
This week,
아담 잭슨 이
so,
친구가
players will be able to
강령을 안 좋아한단 말이지.
update. And along with that, a very big feature that
어서
everyone's
와요.
talking about and anticipating.
일찍 일어나서
It's been a long
딱 라이브 시간에
anticipated
맞춰
feature
왔습니다.
within Diablo 4, and that is,
이 아담 플래처가 항상
we'll be
뭐
talking about
잘못된
Gauntlet
친구긴
as well,
한데
actually showcasing it here, because that does come with the
과연
mid-season
도대체 오늘
update
뭐라고 하는지
this week as
봅시다.
well. So, players will be able to jump into the Gauntlet.
그러네, 생긴 게 강령처럼
starting
생겼네.
next
왜 이렇게
Tuesday.
강령을 싫어하는
But
거야?
I know a lot of stuff has happened over Diablo 4 since the start of season 3.
어쨌든 클래스를 이 친구가 잘못 만들었어요.
Released the 132 patch, which was the one that included
아유, 어서 와요,
for
다들.
players who actually have a bunch of Uber uniques and want to craft Uber uniques.
좋은
You
아침.
can do that by, creating
굿모닝.
sparks and then being able to craft the Uber uniques that they specifically want if they happen to find other ones and stuff. And so, but we do have a lot of new features coming into the actual mid-season update with 133. One really popular one coming back from season 2. I know you guys want to talk about it a little bit more right now.
Yes, we have vampiric powers returning from season 2.
Yep.
Yeah. So we obviously really like being able to bring back some of the malignant powers from season 1 in the form of the unique rings we had.
시즌 1 때 심장 반지를 시즌 2에 줬고
now as we're looking
이번에는 시즌 2의 흡혈의 힘을 다시 준답니다.
Really seemed to like. We thought were pretty cool.
우리가 엄청 좋아했대요. 그래 뭐 좋아하긴 했죠.
Yeah, we'll be going over all of
좋아하긴
them and
했어요.
which ones we brought back and what they
좋아하긴
did.
했는데
Solve it in a little bit here.
마음에 안 드네.
So I think we have a kind of a slide to start talking
그래서
about our vampiric powers.
Yeah, so really
여섯 개가 돌아와요,
really
여러분.
returning from the season of blood.
하나를 주는 게
Coming
아니었네요.
back this time is legendary powers instead of uniques. So unlike the unique rings, these are going to be legendary powers, just like any other
위상.
legendary power that comes in the game. And
Not
they're not all
unique.
exact one-to-one copies.
난
They're
유니크야.
they're really close to matching their
흡혈의
previous
힘을
functionality
6개?
and kind of what you would expect them to
미쳤다.
do.
잠깐만, 6개라고?
But, we brought them
이건
back in a way that's kind of evergreen, that they can be sustainable.
Yeah, they can fit
for a
in that
healthy
mix
version
and
of the
match
game.
format of the aspect system, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so the ones we got here that are returning, you've got Accursed Touch, Blood Boil, Hectic, Metamorphosis, a fan favorite, Moonrise, and the Undying. You can see a few of them here being played out.
Just in case if you forgot from season 2.
Yeah.
Here's some of the fan favorite ones. Of course, everyone loves
탈퇴는
Metamorphosis,
오고.
a huge big one.
Yep.
Being able to turn into bats, essentially evade through enemies.
약역강식 오고.
But as you mentioned, they're coming back as these legendary aspects, legendary powers.
Yeah, so here we're going to show
불면
you the
온다.
exact text, so you can,
피 채울 수
screen cap that,
있다.
figure out all the exact differences between these and what's in season 2. Largely the same, a few differences. The biggest one I
그거
think you'll see in the next screen is
제압 넣는
Metamorphosis.
거.
Obviously, it's really strong.
자, 제압 넣는 거 이름 뭐였죠? 제압 20초에 한 번씩 제압 넣고 제압 넣으면은 구슬 나와서 터지는 거. 뱀피릭 컬스 나오고 혈기의 힘. 혈기의 힘. 뱀피릭 컬스에 걸리면 취약이 걸린다. 흡혈기의 힘 플러스 취약까지. 아 그래. 피종기. 잠깐만. 흡혈기 힘을 걸면서 취약까지 같이 걸어. 소울 데미지 35% 증가. 불멸 같은 경우에는 피통을 채워줘요. 내가 스킬 쓸 때마다 피를 채워줘. 오, 이러면은 근데 갑바라고요? 낄 자리가 없잖아. 어쨌든 이러면 뼈창도 이거 쓸 수 있겠어. 더블 디스 보너스 와일 빌로. 피통이 50% 이하일 때는 2배고. 공격. 야, 제압 기제 하나 공격으로 넣었다고?
I think you'll see how
그리고 탈퇴는 역시나 신발로 나왔어요. 탈퇴 신발로 나왔고요. 이베이드 하면 언스타퍼블 2.5초. 뱀피릭 컬스가 걸려. 아, 그러면 이거랑 이것까지 같이 써야 탈퇴랑 얘랑 같이 쓰면 취약 해결되는 거네. 이베이드 쿨다운 is increase by 아, 미친. 회피의 쿨다운이 5초가 늘어난다고요? 아, 이러면은 돌격전차 빼야 되네, 진짜. 돌격전차에 이것까지 끼면은 피하기를 못 쓴다는 얘기잖아. 아, 아뮬렛이 가능하거든? 그러면 2.5, 3초, 3점 몇 초까지 줄일 수 있네. 아, 근데 좀 잘못됐는데. 그리고 문라이즈. 아, 이거를 주는구나. 기본 스킬. 월출. 기본 스킬 쓰면 스택 쌓이는 거. 공속 빨라지는 거. 아, 이러면은 또 강령은 버려진 건데, 이거는, 와, 도적 더 좋아지네요? 도적 이것까지 쓰면은 베이직 스킬 데미지에다가 공속까지 더 올라가는 거야? 그리고 기본 스킬 5번 쓰면은 쿨다운, 지금 액티브 쿨다운 4초 다 줄어드는 거. 이거 이름이 뭐였지? 기본 스킬 5번 쓰면 쿨다운 감소. 아, 기본 스킬 쓰는 직업들을 아주 그냥
Yeah, it's kind of like that military aspect we put in season 3 that increases your armor, but also increases the duration of your evade timer.
Yes,
아,
very similar. So you know you
these-
got a little bit of a kiss curse
Yeah,
there.
that light effect, that choice for players to choose. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, next going into what our updates are, we've got the kind of our generic updates here. So the first one a lot of people have been talking about is
참네.
snapshotting. We've heard a lot of cases from people that brought
이러면
up for snapshotting
강령이-
that's been reported to us, and to give a little bit of a kind of a high level.
자,
view
그리고
of what snapshotting is,
스냅샷.
'cause not
We fixed
everybody's
many
very
cases of
familiar.
snapshot that have been reported.
Snapshotting is this idea that
스냅샷을
when you get
고쳤대요.
a buff, let's say a damage buff, you're able to hold on to that buff for a longer duration than it would normally last if you use it on a skill that is like channeled or lasts a really, really long time. So a
Right.
simple example, this would be like the Barbarian's Whirlwind. If let's say I got a 50% damage buff and it lasts for 4 seconds,
지금 얘기하고
if I
있어요.
have that
원소
buff
위상
when I
같은
channel
거.
Whirlwind, it'll keep that buff going until I cancel Whirlwind because I had it when it started. And so if I keep my Whirlwind going forever, I'll keep that
아,
50%
기본
damage buff way
스킬을
beyond
더
the
강화시켜.
normal
이번에 이제
second
기본
time.
스킬 그렇지 않아도 강화시켰고
If the game
유니크까지
didn't
나온
have
상태에서
snapshotting, then it would just last for 4 seconds, whether or not I started Whirlwind when I had it, and that would be how long I would
월출은
be
이제 기본 스킬 쓰면 공속이 빨라지고
So in
데미지가
general, when it
올라가요.
comes to snapshotting, we want to
여기다가
game as much as we
이거
can.
이름이 뭐였지 기억이 안
It
나.
does
기본
allow for
스킬을
some
5번을
kind of cool
쓰면
things, but generally
지금 현재
snapshotting
쿨이
is
돌아가고
used
있는
to do
것들의
really
쿨이
kind of
4초까지.
undesirable behavior.
그러면
Whereas I
공속을
would be
미친 듯이
equipping
챙긴
gear at certain
상태에서
times
기본
or
스킬만
using certain effects at
따라라락
certain
누르면
times to get way more
나머지
power
쿨다운이
than what
짜라락
you should
줄어드는
normally be
이건
able
근데
to
안
find. There's
쓰는데
also
이거를
things like people
어쨌든
gathering up a ton of
탈퇴가
buffs and, like,
신발로
one-shotting a
나왔고
boss or things like that, in unintuitive
그런데
ways. So we fixed every case that's been reported to us so
쿨을
far, and we'll continue to.
5초
And we're
늘리
going to move toward more of a systemic approach to taking it out.
미친 놈들아.
Also for the Gauntlet, because we know that a few people were concerned about the Gauntlet and how snapshotting would be able to work there.
그리고 건틀렛
In the
Here,
Gauntlet,
skill
your
tree
gear, the
and
skill
paragon
tree, and the
cannot be
paragon board cannot be
changed.
changed. So you can't do any weird things of, you know,
뭔 말이냐면
legendaries or things like that to try and gain an advantage.
그러니까
What you
스냅샷처럼
bring into the
그게 안
Gauntlet is
된다는
basically
거예요.
gonna be locked. So
건틀렛.
it'll be a fair place for people to compete. And lastly, more generic thing, but
건틀렛에서
we found an issue where the weapon mastery passive
들어가면
dipping on
햄
critical strike damage
등등
bonuses,
아무것도
particularly when you mix
변경 안
weapon
됨.
mastery and the precision key passive, players were able to do way more
이게
damage
맞지?
than was
쐐기도
intended.
그렇거든요,
So that is
와우에서.
another bug fix
근데
that's
로그가 딱
in
나왔어요.
this
아,
patch.
왜? 잠깐만. 무숙 버그 잠깐만.
That is coming.
무숙 버그 패치. 무숙 버그 패치. 도적. 무숙 버그 빠이.
In this patch. All right, so next let's get into our first round of the class updates. First, we're going to start with the Seneschal
도적.
construct.
Yeah, the Seneschal class.
잘가 멀리 안 갈게.
Yeah.
So really, we've resolved quite a few different bugs and also reduced the power of some things that were overperforming. The first one is that
아니 근데 도전을 건드려 야만은. 자, 이 뭐 세네철이 뭐죠? 이슈 컨트럭트 benefit from skill that benefit unleash such as
updates to some of the tuning stones.
아,
The poison support tuning stone isn't going to be reapplying the base damage when it spreads. It's going to match
청지기
more of the functionality of other kind of damage over time tuning stones.
플레이어들이 받는 버프 이제 안 받음.
Overpowered, so we're reducing the power of those a little bit as well.
삼성 같은 거.
And then lastly, the Tempest governing stone was basically resulting in a situation.
터닝 스톤. 아, 지시석. 아이 깜짝이야. 미안해요. 잠깐만. 정신없네 내가. 갑자기 와서. 터닝 스톤 지시석 포이즌 서포트를 잠깐만. When is spread? 매칭 더 포지션. 아, 퍼질 때 더 이상 이 컨스트럭트 데미지가 보너스가 계속 적용되지 않는데. 그러니까 이게 포이즌이 계속 퍼지면서 막 몇 억대 들어갔던 그거 있잖아요. 그거 고쳤고 포이즌 이제 퍼질 때 계속 데미지 추가 없음. 근데 이딴 걸 왜 고쳐? 이거 중요한 것도 아닌데. 블리딩도 마찬가지고 블리딩 줄였고 버닝도 줄였고 출혈 불타는 다 너프. 아니 이딴 걸 왜 하는 거야? 이 근데 사실 별로 의미 없는데. 거버닝 스톤, 템페스트. 잠깐만. No longer gain bonus damage and duration when it replies. 그리고 템페스트 이름이 갑자기 한글로 뭐였죠? 템페스트 이름이 뭐더라? 너프 퍼질 때 댐 증가, 시간 증가, 사라짐. 템페스트가 이제 퍼지면서 데미지 너무 많이 늘어난다고 생각했나봐. 폭풍우였지? 폭풍우. 근데 청지기 너프한다. 자, alright. Barbarian.
And again, we've got stuff for every single class.
Barbarian.
Right now, I'm
First
sure.
bullet, very powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah, Barbarian's pretty
very powerful.
Many of you, I'm sure, know the Barbarian's pretty good right now.
바바리안이 세다는 건 인식을
You
했다.
know, a lot of people really like charge. It turns out it's a really strong skill.
바바리안.
Probably the biggest update you're going to see here.
너무
The next
세다고.
bullet point is that we're not really
인정.
planning to nerf charge in this patch. Before we had talked about kind of our bar for what
Right
we
now,
consider to be
very
too strong
powerful.
in the game.
너무 세대요.
Season patch charge is like right up there. And we talked a lot as a design team and made a
돌진
call
너프할
to
계획은
keep it
없대.
for the rest of the season. So you know we know it's really good. It's really strong.
Very powerful.
We could have gone either way on this, so we're open.
돌진 너프 안 할 거야.
But now with the launch of the Gauntlet, we're going to keep it in.
It's
and
close
kind of see
to
how it
what
works
we
out.
would
We've
consider
been
too
seeing over time
powerful,
the other
but
classes that
decided to
found
keep
things that are also
this
really
season.
powerful too. So we're gonna try that this season and see how it goes.
센 건 아는데 이번 시즌은 그냥 해. 패치하기 귀찮아. 일 시키지 마. 이런 미친놈들 뺀데 안 한대. 뭐 어쩌라는 거야. 방금 뭐라고? 얼리 게임 버프 to many 베이스. 기본 스킬들에 대한 버프가 너무 많았대. 그래서 언더 유즈 스킬을 버프한다고요? 잠깐만. 아니 뭐 하자는 건데. 저기요? 안 쓰는 스킬 버프 해줄게. 뭐 베리 파워풀이라며. 스트래티직 그라운드 스톰 그거 뭐였죠? 발구르기 울티메트 CDR 인크리즈 스턴 시간 1초에서 2초로 증가. 아이언 스킨이 뭔데? 아, 철갑 피부에서 철갑 피부 라인 중에 보강 채우는 거. 5% 증가. 아, 그 선조 머시기 그거 궁극기 그 뒤에 라인 보너스 데미지 10% 증가. 아니 무슨 버프를 해?
Seconds. One of the iron skin upgrades and
선조의
the
부름,
upgrade
그래.
called the ancients is just getting a number increase. And Boris devastating grip. So this is kind of has a
Familiar
storied history in our game. Yeah, it was really really good when the game launched. And now we brought it down quite a
Friend
bit, and now
increase
we're increasing its
from
power
1, 2에서
again
2,
to bring
3으로.
back whirlwind builds.
템,
So the ranks of
그
whirlwind are going up
유니크
from 1
템이죠?
2 to 3, and we're increasing the amount of the explosion.
이거 이름이 뭔지 모르겠네.
So really, when
필드
it comes to what you look forward to the Barbarian, it's really everything because we're not nerfing charge, but also their early game and
버프.
whirlwind builds will be a little bit better as well.
아니 뭐 하자는 거야? 베리 파워풀이라고 쌍욕해놓고 무슨 말이야?
뭐야
이게 다야?
But classes will be a little bit better as well.
뭐? 진짜로? 잠깐만. 진짜로? 아니 베리 파워풀 뭐 생쇼 하더니 노 차지 너프 아무것도 없어. 근데 대신에 버프를 해줄게. 바바리안이 너무 세니까 버프를 해줄게.
Nerfing charge, but also their early game and whirlwind builds will be a little bit better as
뭔
well.
말이야 이게?
And again, when we're going through all these updates for the classes, this
완전
isn't
미친놈들
everything. This is
아니야?
showing you, you'll be able to see the patch notes very soon, but this is just a sneak peek of some of the things that are happening. So there is a little bit more to
아니.
everything, I think, than what we're showing today. So next we got the Sorceress. So Incinerate is a skill
도적은
that we
왜
know,
무속
people
너프
had a
왜
bit of a hard time really
도적은
getting a lot of effect
바로
inside.
죽여버리고
So we're
바바리안은 왜 안
increasing
해?
everything across the board. The damage is going up. All of its upgrades are going up. So Incinerate players should be rejoicing.
와 대박이다 진짜.
We've also got quite a few buffs to conjuration skills coming in. So for people that like using
인시너레이트가
conjurations.
뭐예요? 내가 이제부터는 잘
And then
모릅니다.
also some buffs to
원서부터는.
really generically use
데미지를
unused
올린대요.
passives and paragon
40%.
blades. So really across the board you're just going to see some buffs to various things.
Enhanced 인시너레이트 불태우는 거예요? 25에서 50으로. 데미지 리듀스 25에서 30으로. 아, 인시너레이트가 뭐지? 제가 원소를 몰라가지고. 뭐? 인시너레이트? 핵 버프. 인시너레이트가 뭔지 모르네. 화염, 어쨌든 화염인데 제가 안 해서 모릅니다. 원소를 한 번도 안 해봐서. 컨저럭션 스킬도 버프했고 안 쓰는 패시브랑 파라곤도 버프를 하겠대요. 그래서 인시너레이트랑 컨저레이션을 버프를 한대.
So here again for Sorc players, Incinerate and really conjurations are the things that you have to look forward to.
통통 화염군가?
And next we've got
어쨌든
the Druid.
화염이에요.
It's got quite a few powerful things coming.
어쨌든 화염
So
원소
similar to the Barbarian, you know, the
핵떡상.
Druids, we've gotten feedback that they kind of
40%예요.
they have a
40%.
really, really strong late game, but their early game getting there can be a little bit
데미지를
tedious to
40%
go,
올린대.
So we're buffing a lot of their basic skills.
거의 뭐
We
말도
gave
안
an
되네.
example here for the Druid with
Druid.
Wind Shear. So you can see here the spirit generation is going up, the damage is being increased, and the wild Wind Shear upgrade, which gives you more
바바리안
spirit when you hit enemies.
얼리
is also
게임
going
버프
up.
투 베이직 스킬. 베이직 스킬을 버프를 많이 해서 바바리안처럼
And then
세대.
companion druid. So we could pretty consistently
Wind
hear
Shear
from players that they
버프.
really want to make a companion build really work and feel good. So
스피릿
we've got some damage buffs
제너레이션이
across the board for all
14에서
the companions,
16으로
particularly wolves is
더 많이
getting quite a bit
차고
stronger.
데미지
So
10%
we've got things for wolves,
증가하고
poison creeper, and ravens. And then we've got some additional buffs to some
뭔
underused
말이야 이게.
passives.
근데 이게 제가 몰라요.
And then
네,
last but
드루이드하고
not least,
원소는
Storm's
뭐 이제 그
companion.
전문가들
So
얘기를
this
꼭
is the one
들어보십시오.
that
저는
makes
아예
your,
모르거든요.
wolves howl when they
도적
do some
봐봐
lightning damage in an AoE.
강령밖에
The
몰라서.
ranks of wolves that you're getting is going to be
그래서
increased
또 안
from
쓰는
4
것도 올린대요.
to 5. And then also the storm
폭풍
howl damage, that
쉴드?
damage that happens when the lightning bolts come down is being increased by
뭐 안 쓰는 것들
so you could see here
Enhance. Yeah.
팩
Yeah,
버프.
so before I was doing like in this example
폭풍
at this
두루.
level, like 100 to maybe 400 damage, 150 to 400.
개떡상.
And now it's gonna be doing closer to 8 to 1300 damage per strike, and these things strike multiple
안에서
times too,
잘
and they do
모름.
AoE, so it's actually quite a bit of an increase.
드루이드도 안에서 잘 모름.
So really, as far as
관심
Druids, your
없음.
early game will feel better for pretty much every build, and then companions,
관심
and
없음.
especially wolves, are gonna be quite a bit. more
짜루이드
powerful.
폭풍 실드 떡상. 데미지가 뭐 거의 보니까 4배 놀라.
So we've
자,
got
두루.
Heartseeker and
도적.
Forspoiler, their attack speeds are being increased. So, when it comes to basic skills, a lot of people gravitate to Puncture. It's really, really strong. It applies vulnerable, but
하트시커.
also
그
those
가이드로
stuff
있죠?
really
기본
good when
스킬에
you cast it.
가이드에서 가이드로랑
Yes, and knife
그 화살 두 개 기본 스킬. 어택 스피드와 비 인크리즈. 와, 어택 잠깐만. 활 기본 스킬.
Maybe knives
공속
on the arrows.
20% 증가.
But anyways, as far as how it feels to use, the two arrow skills should feel
기본
exactly
스킬을
the
활을
same
쓰라고?
as far as how you're able to stutter step.
아니 사람들 구멍 뚫기만 쓰니까 활 쓰래.
Made to match. And then we also heard some feedback that flurry isn't really feeling as good.
플러리를 버프했대요. 플러리가 뭐죠? 맥플러리인가요? 맥플러리 10% 버프. 더 맛있어지겠네?
And then precision, everybody's favorite new change in season 3. We're actually going to be
몰라요.
reducing
플러리가
the
뭔지
stacks
모릅니다.
required for bonuses from 6 to 4. So this is a buff
맥플러리가 10% 버프돼서 더
really meant to
맛있어져요.
help with actually the rhythm and the way that you feel when you cast it. That how
프리시즌
often you get the proc
스택,
should
뭔
just feel a
말이야?
little bit better to use when you're using it in combination with other skills.
맥플러리가 아니고 연타래요. 좋아. 연타
And then
연타 도적
last but
10%
not least, we got
버프.
the aspect of branching volleys. We're kind of redesigning or upgrading this legendary quite a bit. This is with
프리시즌
barrage, when
스택.
your barrage,
리ኳ이드
arrows
포
bounce,
보너스
they do more damage,
리듀스가
and now we're
6에서
adding a little
4로.
bit more to it.
스택을 6에서 4.
Arrows bounce.
프리시즌 빨리 도적분들 알려줘. 프리시즌의 스택을 6을 쌓아야 되는데 4로. 몰라. 브랜칭 볼리 레전더리도 리디자인 한대요.
They do more damage,
위상도.
but now we're actually adding a little bit more to it.
구멍
So
뚫기야?
you can see here on the left,
구멍
it's kind of the old
6에서
version, which
4로
basically said that your
버프.
arrows had a chance to split into 2 arrows whenever
요
they
그치.
ricochet. And I love that zoom in.
Yeah.
Arrows had a chance to
이런 식으로 이제 위상을 바꾼대요. 베리지 러스 해브 25% 스플리트 인투 이거 내가 좋아하는 그거잖아요. 내가 좋아하는 거 탄막 맞죠? 정밀도 일구치를 6에서 4로 버프한다고? 탄막 40에서 80까지 베리지 에로 해버 50% 찬스. 오! 탄막 위상 개떡상. 잠깐만, 나 탄막 도적 만들어놨잖아.
split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet.
탄막이
And I
미쳤는데요?
love that zoom in.
Oh yeah.
So now on the right, firstly, it's going to increase just the base damage
하늘
of ricocheting arrows
사냥꾼의
from barrage. And then also they still keep
탄막
that chance to
미쳐
split into 2,
날뛰음.
but that chance has also been
이거
increased
제가
quite a bit.
Yeah.
So really this legendary just
만들어놨거든요, 탄막.
very much, and now it should be quite a bit better.
소름 돋게
So yeah, as far as
유일하게
the forward two
만든
really ranged
도적
builds, I think are going to feel pretty good, and then flurry as well is getting quite a big
힐트리가
increase.
탄막.
And last but not least, we have the Necromancer, and we have a lot to cover here with Necromancer, so hold on to your butts here. So
자,
first we got
네크로맨서 갑시다. 네크로맨서. 다 필요 없어. 도적이고 나발이고 나는 관심이 없고요. 강령술사. 근데 나 탄막 예상했네. 미쳤다, 여러분. 탄막 가이드 해드릴게요. 만들어놨거든요. 소름 돋네. 탄막이 갑자기 떡상해버렸네. 데미지 미니언 버프. 소환수 버프 하지 말라고. 어쨌든 소환수 기본 데미지 20% 증가, 피통 10% 증가, 헬벤트 커맨더 데미지 보너스 인크리즈 1, 2, 3 이걸로 뭔데 이게? 헬벤트가 뭐야? 잠깐만, 이거 스킬이잖아. 스킬도 증가, 컬트리더 리전더리 노드도 잠깐만. 미니언 데미지가 10에서 15. 그 노드 있죠? 이교 우두머리 전설 로드 10에서 15로 증가 댐증. 그리고 위상도 리디자인 해요. 좀 비켜봐 이 메모장 이 멍청한 놈아. You and your minion 이 딜 이거 어쩌고 저쩌고. 이 문양 있죠? 문양 우리 맨날 이교우돈에 받는 그 문양 있죠? 그거를 You gain 1% 무브먼트 스피드 for each 액티브. 문양의 보너스 효과가 댐증 뿐만 아니라 미니언 한 마리당 본체 이속 1% 아씨 이게 무슨 의미가 있냐고. 10% 빨라지겠네요. 이속 장난하나. 스켈레톤 리퍼 그 낫 들고 있는 놈들이 리스포닝 투 큐 잠깐만. 낫든 해골들 시체를 너무 안 만들어서 많이 만들게 할게. 이씨, 더 많은 건 시즌 4에 할게. 아무것도 하기 싫어. 시즌 4에 한대요. 미친놈들 아니야 진짜. 한 게 없단 얘기잖아. 설마 미니언 버프만 하고 끝나는 거 아니지? 제발. 미니언 버프 해도 안 되는데. 아니, 코포리얼 글리프를
Now it's also going to be giving you increased move speed for every active minion.
Yes.
무브 스피드를 준대.
Necromancer
예스 같은 소리 하고 있네. 야, 이 그지 같은
Catch-
놈들아. 누가 누가 조폭을 느려서 안 하냐?
We also fixed an issue with skeletal
어?
reapers where they were spawning too few corpses. Now
조폭을
they're
느려서 안
a
하.
lot more corpses when you take that upgrade. And also just talking about minions.
아이고나.
Minions is one of our big priorities.
아니, 조폭을 느려서 안 하는 게
Just
아니라고.
that they're not dealing enough damage, but also
조폭이 느려서 안
and the way that you engage with them.
와, 진짜 개열받네.
Quite a bit more coming in season 4 that I wanted
아니,
to
베이스라인
bring up.
20% 올려봤자 200 들어가던 게 240 들어가는 거잖아. 무슨 의미가 있어? 여기 2000%를 올려도 될까 말까인데.
And then next, we've got also buffs and functionality adjustments.
자, 컴다운. 미안합니다, 여러분. 버프앤 펑셔널리에 안 쓰는 패시브를 올리겠대. 스파이크 아머. 아야, 잠깐만. 가시 주지 말라고.
Now we're changing it to be Death's Advance, which really just
가시
gives you
패시브
more speed. So now, generically, Necromancer players will have a way to
아이씨.
put 3 points in a passive.
가지 안
and
한다고.
speed more than other passives. And then we've also got some core skill buffs, particularly to
원거리.
Surge and Sever. There's some number buffs, and I think even some.
그 원거리 댐증
to make the
안 쓰니까.
better. So really,
아니, 무슨 해골 떡상 같은 소리 하고 있네. 무브먼트 스피드. 무브먼트 스피드가 버프래요. 무브먼트 스피드가 버프야. 떡상, 뭔 해골이 떡상이야 도대체. 아니, 해골 다 뽑아봤자 그러면 이속 11% 늘어나는데? 이속 11%. 와, 가시가 이제 아머 기준. 가시 패시브가 어떻게 버프되냐면, 가시랑 그 아머도 추가. 잠깐만. 아머를 15% 추가면 여러분 아머를 15% 추가하면 그 갑바에서 빼도 될 수 있어요. 방어도 한 줄을 빼고 댐감을 넣을 수 있어. 방어도 좀 긍정적인 걸 찾아보자고. 좀 컴다운하고. 미안해요. 내가 너무 흥분해서. 자, 가시 패시브를 찍으면 아머가 추가되니까 15%까지. 그러면 방어도 한 줄을 빼고 댐감을 넣을 수 있다. 이런 미친 개새끼들아. 적당히 해! 야, 너네 강령 안 하지? 강령 하지 말라는 거지, 이 정도면. 아, 컴다운. 미안합니다. 그리고 데스 리치가 데스 어드밴스로 바뀌어서 원거리 데미지 증가하는 게 이제 원거리 댐증 대신에 이속 10% 증가. 이속 10% 증가. 안 느리다고. 이동기를 달라고. 이속이 아니라 이동기를 달라고. 이 그지 발사기 같은 놈들아. 아니 이속 좀 미친놈들 진짜. 뭐 어쩌라고. 아 근데 이걸 주면 어떡해요. 이걸 줘도 우리는 스킬 포인트가 없다고. 이 IQ 맥스치 8짜리 이 멍청한 놈들아. 이 탁대가리보다 못한 무식한 놈들아. 스킬 포인트가 없다고! 이속 12%를 어떻게 찍어? 스킬 포인트가 없는데. 핵심 스킬, 버프 3가지. 마른병, 쇄도, 절단. 잠깐만, 쇄도?
When it comes to Necromancer players, movement speed is the name of the game here, and also minion builds should feel.
쇄도
better
버프.
than before. And lastly, we wanted to talk with you all a little bit
이게
about
다야?
how we do our updates and the timing of them. We've run into a issue, not really an issue, but a situation that happens pretty commonly.
쇄도 해야 되나?
So normally when we think about updates, you know, in our last live stream we talked about how, you know, we
이게
kind of
다야?
made a promise
강령
that
이게
we
다야?
start
진짜로?
every season, every class
아니야,
would
야,
get at least one
잠깐만.
legendary and one new unique.
이게 다냐고. 강령 이게 다야? 이속 12%?
A new legendary or a new unique in the pipe, and you know we have a cool idea. We've made a new design for something. Like I'll give an example. Let's say Fireball Sorcerer, right? We have a really cool.
클래스 간에 공정하게 뭔 개소리야. 야만을 왜 또 버프를 하는데?
Right? And we kind of run into the situation where we have to decide like. Is it okay to put something into the game?
우리가 약속했지. 각각 시즌 시작할 때 every class must get on at least one new legendary and new unique. 그래, 뭐 어쩌라고. 그래. 아, 근데 레전더리랑 유니크 주지 말라고. 근데 미치겠네요. 흡혈기의 힘을 6개를 줬는데 다 위상으로 줬어요. 위상으로 다 줬어요. 위상으로 주면 우리는 못 쓴다고. 자리가 없다고. 미쳐버리겠네 진짜. 그리고 탈퇴도 개쓰레기로 냈습니다. 내가 이거를 제일 걱정했는데 탈퇴를 쓰면 저지불가를 주거든요. 근데 스페이스 쿨을 5초를 늘려요. 스페이스가 쿨이 5초가 됩니다. 5초가 더 늘어나요. 그러니까 계속 저지불가를 쓰는 게 안 돼. 우리가 생각하는 탈퇴가 아니야. 이럴 줄 알았어. 이 그지 같은 놈들 진짜. 뭘 피드백을 보긴 뭘 봐. 이놈들이 지금 피드백을 보면서 한대요. 피드백 같은. 야, 이 그지 같은 놈아. 이 새끼가 문제예요. 이 새끼가 클래스 디자이너거든요. 얘가 지금 문제거든요. 얘 클래스 디자이너인데 얘가 지금 야, 너 강령 좀 해볼래? 강령이 지금 이속이 느려서 구리다고 생각한 거야. 설마? 아니 강령이 이속이 구려서
And this is just a small, as Adam
Oh.
mentioned, this is just a small piece of what we're actually including in the mid-season update. The full patch notes are actually going to be out tomorrow.
아니, 아담
So
잭슨.
we'll
이
end up
친구 이름이
posting
아담
those,
잭슨이거든요.
before the weekend, and players can check out the full
미치겠네,
patch notes. And of course,
진짜.
this mid-season update includes
적당해. 이
character powers,
멍청한
also
놈들아. 너 IQ
includes
8이지,
for
IQ 8.
showcase here. So it's a pretty beefy mid-season update. And just to remind people as well, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's a lot of changes in this mid-season update. What we talked about at the beginning of season 3 is like the cadence of how we plan on doing these updates. You know, we plan on doing pretty significant changes, of course, at the start of a season because it's a brand new
야, IQ
season,
8이거든요.
so it makes sense there. And then, you know, we take the time to evaluate, and then we make pretty significant changes in mid-season updates as well, based off of feedback that we saw since the start of the season. And of course, you know, once we get into a new season, things change again, and you know, meta changes and class balance changes occur then. So players can expect to see that there. There is the rare occurrence, as like for instance, that you know we'll be monitoring feedback if something does come up that is like absolutely like breaking or whatever, that we may end up making a tweak on based off of community feedback. But that is typically the cadence that we have talked about at the beginning of the season, and we just want to remind players like you can always expect these big moments during the beginning and the middle part of the season.
아, 개열받아.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome. So the next thing.
어썸 같은 소리 하고 있네.
You know, this is a long anticipated feature. It is the leaderboard feature essentially within Diablo 4. And we actually have a cool like showcase that we want to show you guys here. We have 3 different devs that are.
We're going to show you a showcase.
We're going to show you a showcase.
Just this once.
Show.
자, 건틀렛 쇼케이스 봅시다.
But we have 3 different devs.
컴다운,
that, are gonna be
컴다운하고
and they're going to be
이따
running
다시
through
한번
their builds
정리하고요,
specifically
마지막에.
through the Gauntlet itself. And we are joined by 2 Diablo partners, 2 Diablo content
한번
creators
보자.
who are going to be commentating through this. This is Anna Cake Live and Macro Bioboy. Thank you guys very much for helping us out.
어디
here.
박수를 치고 있어,
And
이놈의
our devs are
새끼들아.
going to be, of course, from like here within Irvine, so they'll be playing live here within the
Beautiful
studio.
Irvine, California.
Irvine, California.
Yep.
And so
beautiful
we
Irvine,
actually have
California
John
같은 소리 하고
who
있네.
is on the engineering team here.
California.
We have Liam Kerr, who's a associate class
아우, 열받아,
designer
진짜.
on the design
아,
team.
담배
for Diablo
땡겨.
4.
잠깐만.
And we have Steven Stewart, who some people
담배를
may
피는 게
recognize
아니라
as
담배를
Leviathan,
씹어 먹어야 될 것
former,
같은데요.
Diablo content creator, or maybe still a Diablo content creator. He's like
bit of both.
behind the camera. I don't
아,
know.
투팍.
Who will also be running through his build, through the
딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴딴 and Macro Bioboy, who will be running us through some of this Gauntlet It's
stuff,
Wild
and then
Wild
we'll come
West.
back and we'll give you guys a few little updates about season 4 and do
시즌
some
4 같은
Q&A.
소리 하고 있네.
Macro, Anna, take it away.
자, 이제
Thank you so much, Adam.
스트리머 2명을 불렀어요.
I am Anna Cake.
아나
and I'm
케이크.
really happy to
아나
be here today
케이크?
together with my friend Macro.
뭐죠?
Happy
어쨌든
to first
케이크랑
time see and
케이크랑
comment on the
마이크로
showcase
비어보이?
of the Gauntlet.
뭐야?
Hi everybody.
어쨌든
I'm Macro
매크로랑-
Bioboy. I'm your friendly
매크로랑
neighborhood
케이크를
Necromancer.
불렀어요.
And this is wildly exciting. It's so great that the players finally get to get their eyes on what
왼쪽에 케이크, 오른쪽에 매크로.
Gauntlet showcase. 3 amazing developers. These people, they're going to show you all
야,
this
너네
stuff, and we're going to be able to help to kind of bridge
좀
the gap
바른
between
소리
some
해라.
information about the mechanics that
그래서
are going on,
건틀렛을 이
what
친구들이
you're
이제
actually
하는
seeing,
겁니다.
and what you can expect
이제
as
스트리머
well.
2명을
So
불렀어요.
it looks like
또 자기들이 하는 거에 대해서 뭐라고 하니까 그 여두루 평타두루 있죠? 여두루 2명이서 평타 치고 있던 이제 그런 사태가 벌어지지 않기 위해서 이 둘을 불렀습니다. 이 둘을 불러서 건틀렛을 시켰어요. 뼈창으로 했네요.
And guys, we just started the Gauntlet. The first thing that we see the boss, and we just skip the boss. The Necromancer is just
뭐하니?
running, skipping the boss.
야, 그딴 식으로 해갖고 세계 한 35만 등 하겠다. 뭐하니?
Trying to get, I already see here is the first
뭐해?
shrine. Macro, tell me something about this shrine and about this
야, 각벽 끼고서 왜 뼈폭풍을 지금 키는데?
Everything that we need to know about this
자,
Necro.
몸 레벨이
Absolutely.
123,
So before I get
124.
like too deep into the Necromancer, let's basically just talk about what you're looking at in the Gauntlet. We have 8 minutes to get the highest score possible.
야, 시폭반지 안
Boss that
꼈어?
you kill, every boss that you kill, as well as
시폭반지를 안 꼈어요.
are going to be dropping proofs of might. This is basically what you're getting, that
야.
score there on the right side. And
못
it's
구한 거야?
speed utility and
또
strategy
창이야,
is
또
what we
창?
care about the most here.
아니, 시폭 반지는
Monsters are going to be level 124.
시폭 반지는
This is
어디다
similar to Nightmare
팔아먹었어?
Dungeon 70 in difficulty. That means that you don't have to worry as much about survivability or crazy damage.
지금 칼
numbers.
들고 있는
You need to
거야?
do just enough to be able to kill things as you run and
뭐야?
run. Specifically
각벽이
to
아니야.
the pillars that we're seeing here.
여러분,
These unique shrines in the Gauntlet
각벽이
itself. We have
아니에요.
two new additions to the game.
아, 각벽이다,
One
각벽이다.
is going
어.
to be a shrine that's
깜짝이야.
going to respawn all of the monsters in the dungeon. That's
뭐해?
right. It's not just about getting
아니,
through the dungeon as fast as
124짜리를 뭘 이렇게
possible,
오래
but
잡아?
multiple times over. Secondly, we have a
뭐해?
new shrine which is actually going to increase
시폭은
how
왜
much
든 거야?
souls you
시폭
get
누르지도
whenever you
않으면서.
complete any of those objectives that I
그럴
just
거면
saw.
시체 반지
And then right
껴야지.
there, we actually have the return of normal shrines as well. These are going to be dropping.
아니,
off the
시체 반지도 안
bosses, and
껴놓고
we can tell
시폭은
us
왜
more about those
누르지도
shrines
않으면서
and what people need to worry
자, 이렇게
about
이렇게
after that.
잡아요. 그럼 여기 보면 뭐가 있네? 아이,
Oh, yeah.
탑이
That's
있네, 탑.
all this Gauntlet
탑을
is
누르면
all about
애들이 나와.
strategy.
뭐해?
Their shrines gonna be always the same. They're gonna
아니,
appear in the
사냥을
same
해. 왜
places.
계속
And the shrines that gonna be
124.
from
자,
the bosses
건틀렛은
also will be the same. Then
몸 레벨
you need to
124.
plan your trip through the Gauntlet. Are you gonna kill the boss?
125.
Are you planning to use
이래요.
those shrines? When are you planning to use those shrines? Once again, the shrines, the special shrines from
옆에 시간은
this
가고
Gauntlet,
있고.
they will be either resetting all the monsters in,
아,
in the
진짜
dungeon,
못하네.
and here we see
열받네.
our Necromancer just killed the boss first time, resetted this boss, and he's
아니, 이
back
친구 영어가 왜 이래?
again and
뭐-
getting a lot of proofs of might.
그럽소서
He's
버스
scored.
몰랐어.
By the way, Necromancer current score
Necromancer.
is already 58k. We are going.
나 이
more
친구 발음
than
도저히 못
we are
알아듣겠거든요.
progressing further into the dungeon. The map will always
러시아
stay the
친구인가?
same in this dungeon. It will stay the same.
야, 그렇?
for a week. So you can plan your path. You can always choose your way how you will be progressing in this dungeon. And here we see the second
나
shrine.
진짜 하나도 못
The second
알아듣겠어.
pylon, our
어쨌든 이 위에 버프 창이 좀 특이한 버프가
So
있네요.
to talk a little bit more about the Bone
이게
Spirit
무슨
Necromancer,
버프지?
you know, I could go on and on and on about this build. I think this is basically going to be everybody's first attempt at what the best
뼈창
meta
데미지가
approach
1000이
to this
나오는데요.
content
1000?
is. Bone Spear has a lot of great mobility as well as ability to spread
Bone Spear가
damage
너무
across the
좋대요.
battlefield. So whether you're running past
야,
monsters
너네
and
검성
getting back
뼈창
behind
모르지?
and kind of training monsters along, players of Diablo 3 would have seen similar
아니, 몬스터를
strategies in
잡으라고
Great
뛰어다니지
Rift, kind of bring
말고
all your
이래갖고
monsters together
뭐
before you waste any time actually killing them. But whether or not you're just like
아니,
front-loading all your
스트리머를
damage
부르면
and
뭐
blasting through
하냐고.
bosses so that you have that shrine moving forward. Like here we have the blast wave shrine, right? This basically
미쳐버리겠네.
means
어쨌든 자
that you
봐봐.
have that
여기
shrine
방금
moving.
하나 되게 중요한 거
Whether or not
있었어요,
you're just, like,
여러분. 자 봐요.
front-loading
이 중간에 있는 보스몹, 보스몹이 보면은 그때 시연할 때도 한 4마리 잡았단 말이에요. 근데 어쨌든 보스몹을 잡을 때 96,450이에요.
damage and blasting through bombs.
자, 보자. 정확하게 나왔어. 보스 잡기 전에 94,650. 보스 한 마리 잡고
So that you have that shrine
119,000 119,150
moving
이렇게
forward.
됐어요. 자, 보면 150 94 650 24,500이에요. 보스
Like
한
here we have the
마리당.
blast wave shrine, right? This
보스 한
basically means that the
마리당
Necromancer will be able to kill as they
24,500
run, not
옥점.
worrying about having to spend any animation time actually casting their spells themselves. And I think that this is something that people are going to want to really tune into. Not only is the Gauntlet the same every single
여기도
week, so literally every monster is going to be in the exact
이
same
쫄목들
place.
잡는 거 보면은
Every time that you kill a monster, it drops one of the keys.
1000점도 안 오르지.
Those are going to be the exact
그래.
same.
정예몹
place.
잡아도 1000점도 안
So like
올라.
I said before, it's not just about doing a lot of damage
그렇지.
being very fast. It's about picking every
지금 이거 한
single
무리
time
다
you
잡아도
spend
132
any time at all
150에서
casting a skill, doing
132
damage, or
150.
moving. And I definitely think that Bone Spirit
아우, 느려
Necromancer is
죽겠네.
uniquely
한
positioned
마리
in
다
this way
잡았는데
to be able to keep that
132
constant
인데
momentum
만.
and damage output.
Your Necromancer is doing absolutely stunning,
오,
really good.
정예
Good.
소환.
칠등이님 구독 감사합니다.
한 팩 잡아서
41K. We are going absolutely not bad. Guys, you can see in the corner
점대.
there are the keys. We don't have yet any keys, but hopefully we're gonna get them soon. You probably also saw that in this dungeon there are special chests, white chests, and a little bit later I think. we're gonna
저
see
영혼을 먹는
yellow
개념인데
chests.
영혼을
Just
내가
obviously
먹는 게
they have
아니고
a lot of
애를
physical
잡으면
fights
영혼이
that helping you
떨어져.
to increase your total
근데 그게 알아서 먹어져요, 보면.
Yet the keys you need to kill some special monsters.
이
Monsters are
얘
playing
색깔이랑
the same
똑같아.
game
에메랄드
when
색에
you
구슬이
enter the
떨어지는데
dungeon,
저
you don't
영혼들.
know
저
which
영혼들을
monster it is.
내가
So
먹으러
you
다닐
have
필요는
to
없어.
First run a couple of times through the dungeons, kill all the monsters, find out who is actually dropping the key, and probably focus on
지금
those
던전이
monsters. Also,
보면
keep in mind that you need probably kill
이런
them, all of
식이면
them to be able to open the chests. By the way, we went right back to the beginning of the dungeon, and probably our Necromancer now decided to finish
겁나
our
못하네.
first
진짜
boss, our
죽여버리고
Bone
싶네.
Lord.
자, 톰 로드도 보스인데 1, 2, 4죠.
We
1, 5,
have
1,
to
6. 자, 봐봐. 1, 5, 1, 6, 7, 5야, 정확하게. 1, 5, 1, 6, 7, 5.
minute,
to-
30 seconds left.
아유, 빨리 잡아 좀.
It's really
120타짜리
important to
몸을 뭐 이렇게 오래
recognize that
잡아.
too. So the Tomb Lord is a boss that is notorious for moving. And if you're a boss that moves, you're basically the
열받아
antithesis
죽겠네.
of a Bone Spare Necro. Wants to keep you in a
딱
very
잡고
specific
160, 675 이거 정확하죠. 보스 잡고 160, 675. 보스 잡기 전에 160, 675 빼기 151, 675. 얘는 9,000밖에 안 줬어. 뭐야?
So maybe it's not kill every single pack of monsters. Maybe it's not whittle down every single boss as you go. Since you know where the ones that are
보스별로
going to
달라.
be easiest for you to take out, you can make that part of your overall strategy. And running through these sections again and again,
보스마다
getting as much
점수가
score
다른.
as possible. Probably the best part about all of this.
아,
it's something
이러면
that you
루트
might
잘
not pick up on
짜야겠다.
immediately. You notice that every single time you kill a monster, like we just saw there, the score automatically flies.
유두고
into you.
나발이고
So this
루트가
isn't like one of your
중요하네.
normal dungeon where you have to go back and pick up those two veiled
뭐
crystals.
당연히
that you
빨리
have to
잡는 게
go
중요하긴
drop.
하지만
Your only
루트가
concern is
중요하네.
running through this at breakneck speed, killing demons as you go. And the automatic pickup of score, the ability to know exactly where everything
진짜
is, having that map
열받는다,
fully
이거.
explored, and then
근데 이렇게
eventually
상자도
memorizing it
있어요.
as the week goes
상자는
on,
뭐야?
means that players are going to continue to get higher and higher scores as we optimize our builds.
네크
and as we
상향
bring better
축하드려.
strategies and better time.
네크가
better runs
빨라졌다고.
through this. It really calls back to my speedrunning history in
네크 이제
Diablo 4, where
네크가
every one of these
칼루이스가
little
됐다고요?
decisions that you're making could be the difference between ranking top 1 on the leaderboard or just
17275.
barely cracking through to that top
17275.
1,000. But we're honestly seeing a really great
9,000
show from
점이다.
Necromancer here. We have 1 minute left.
만점이 안 오른다.
잠깐만.
잠깐만. 근데 상자 뭐야? 상자 좀 열어봐.
I think that Liam's doing a
야, 상자 좀
fantastic
열어봐.
job
뭔지 좀
showcasing
보자.
what I think most Necro players first
여기
experience
상자가 엄청
is gonna
많아요.
be walking into this
야,
combat.
상자 좀 열어봐.
Oh, I can hear that you're
Yeah.
proud for your Necromancer. And guys, we just entered the room. Guys, you saw that there were a lot of chests, but still don't have the keys. And
아, 열받아
Necromancer
죽겠네,
needs to go through
준비 안
the dungeon,
했네.
search for the keys, probably
근데 지금
search
보면은 이
for
상자가
shrines,
아까
probably
그거거든요.
set.
손잡기
The
상자거든요.
strategy here would
그럼
be
우리는 열쇠를 좀
setting
많이
the
모아놔야
monsters
된다는
if we can.
소리네요.
And probably you cannot open the chest, but you will be able to
근데
kill a lot of
이 안에
monsters.
저게
Also
왜 있지?
increase the total amount your current
템이 안
score.
떨어지는데
We are
여기서는.
almost reaching 200.
저걸
really
열면
close, and we have 10 seconds.
아, 왠지 저거 열면 영혼이 나오나 보다.
Really good for our Necromancer.
Come on, Necro,
See,
get
guys,
over
right.
200k. Oh, and this is one of the issues that you run into.
맵을 잘못
You know, if
갔어.
you've already cleared out that part of the dungeon, going back.
You
through
have
it,
ranked
you know, there's no
the
more
보스
monsters.
7마리
What a
잡았고
great
엘리트
showing from the
잡았고 몬스터
Necromancer.
잡았고
And
이렇게
can you tell me a little
알려줘요.
bit more about the screen that we're looking at right here?
We are looking on our total results
아,
screen.
나
You
이,
can
이
see
여자
here
이
total score.
케이크라는 이
You can
친구
see here
뭐라
all
하는지
the
진짜
monsters
하나도
that
못
you
알아듣겠는데
killed, all the
미치겠네.
elite monsters that you killed, and all the bosses that you defeated. All the information
차라리
you also can see
한국 사람이 가서 하는 게
information
낫겠다.
about what you reached, which seal you reached.
근데 왜 하필
Now
강령으로
Necromancer,
했어?
yep, Macro was
야,
absolutely right.
돌진바바 하는 거
Our
보여봐봐.
Necromancer was
돌진바바
showing
하면
insanely
돌진을 너프를 안
high
했단
seal
말이죠.
of the
시작부터
world.
끝까지
This is
돌진만 다 해서
the
그냥 다
highest
끝내버리고
seal
끝날
that
것
you
같은데요.
reach as a player. Tell us more about the seals. What you can say. I know
다른
they're gonna
플레이에서
work,
나와요?
How
어.
they gonna work?
So you start all the way down from Seal of the Blood.
근데 잠깐만 몸 레벨이 124, 125면은
just running through the gauntlet at all is going to get you that first seal, but you're going to have to crack through higher and higher amounts of total score to rank up to the highest seal. The reason why you want to do that, it's not just bragging rights, as much as the majority of this truly is. But at the end of the week, not only are you going to get a cash just for running the gauntlet every time, you know, a small amount of
그러게.
items, just to say
7,
like, hey,
80단
good job, you
정도밖에
spent
안
your
돼요.
time. But on top of that, if you actually reach the end of the week and you've reached the Seal of the Worthy, you're going to get all of the caches for the 4 seals below that. You're going to get automatic 925
이러면
item
쇄도
power,
미만
it can be
잡인데?
ancestral legendaries. It can even increase all the way up to a unique. So it's a much better incentive for people who don't just care about the ego part of it. You know, they're like, hey, I participate. I want to get something out of it. You do too. And being able to get that loot at the end of the week is that nice little cherry on top.
Yeah, and I think that we are ready for our
나 저 여자 케이크 뭐라는지 진짜
joined really, really soon by the ball lightning sorcerers, guys. John Constable, senior gameplay
뭐라고?
engineer, gonna be showing us the sorcerers gameplay, the sorcerers gauntlet. Let's go.
뭐라는 거야?
Oh, here we are. We are starting,
어쨌든
guys.
소서리스
We
한대요.
are entering once again our gauntlet.
클리커 빌드야?
Once again, guys, the same map, the same
구상이야?
big boss is waiting
뭐해?
for you right in the end. Also, our sorcerers choosing the same gameplay, the same decision was made, skipping the
러시아도
first
아닌 것
boss,
같은데 못 알아듣겠어.
moving further into the dungeon,
아니 차라리 내가 할게.
trying to get the second boss, probably some pillars. That's an interesting
아이언 키.
step
아,
here. And guys,
열쇠가 이 안에서
all
떨어지네.
this is
방금
community
아이언 키를
love
주셨어요.
it, built that in season 2, I don't know.
정예를
everyone
잡으니까
will
열쇠가
like sorcerers.
나오네요.
But I don't know.
아 근데 124짜리를 뭐 이렇게 오래 잡아? 야, 원소르사 약호 타지 마. 보스를 잡았더니 첨탑이 생기네. 아, 보스 잡으면은 첨탑을 줘?
Yep. Here we go. One more boss is here.
첨탑 주네. 아.
The best part about, I mean, there's going to be strengths and
보스를
weaknesses
빨리빨리
to
잡는 게
every build,
중요하겠네.
right? You're probably going to end up seeing a meta where
첨탑을
there are builds
끊기지
that
않게 보스
only
잡는
care
것도
about clearing
좋겠다.
out the trash, that are primarily focused on getting those bosses dead and getting those shrines, because the shrines are going to give you power, obviously. They're also going to give you movement speed. I wouldn't be surprised
답답해
if
죽겠네.
sneaking in some shrine duration buff onto either your amulet or your boots ends up being really powerful in the gauntlet here. That's a quick little pro tip from your boy.
릴리 파워풀
But
같은 소리 하고.
there's not necessarily one right way to do this. On top of that, every class, every ladder
방금
that you're in, is
뒤에
actually
정예를
judged
잡았는데 또
individually.
나왔어.
So the necromancers are going to be judged against
상자를
other
여니까
necromancers, sorceresses against
맞네.
sorceresses,
방금
so on and
상자에서
so forth. So
스코어를
where
줬어요.
some builds may not have the mobility, but they have the boss kill
상자에서
speed,
스코어를
they
줘,
have the
스코어.
density clearing, but not the mobility. The exact strategy for each individual class is going to really make or break what ends up being the meta for the gauntlet, which is one of the things that I think is the most interesting about this.
신단 지속 효과 이거 쓸모 있겠는데? 목걸이랑 신발에 신단 지속 효과가 붙는데 나쁘지 않겠는데요? 신단 지속 효과. 오늘부터 신단 지속 효과 파밍해야 되나? 신단은 사실상 계속 달고 다니는 거네. 뭐가 됐든.
But here we have the increased favor drops. We got the reset there, so he's actually able to pop right back into that room where he just got a shrine, kill this boss again. It's just
얘는 탭키가 없나 봐요. 나 같으면 이거 탭키 계속 누르면서 전체 맵을 확인할 것 같은데.
Yeah, here
탭키
we
없어?
see.
탭키
Actually,
뺐니?
yeah, our sorceress is going pretty good. Yeah, on the bosses. Probably, yeah, it's worth it to stay here. Again, to spam the
이속을
pylon,
겁나
to
챙겨야겠네.
use
그러게.
the power of the
이속, 정예 이속.
And, guys, gonna tell you a little secret. You that
그래서
are
이속
not
200%
high in the
맞춰놓고
gauntlet.
미친놈처럼
Hardcore players,
뛰어다니면서
yeah, I understand, but for softcore players, if you're gonna die, you're gonna lose the third of your score.
어디가 정예 저기 있잖아 왼쪽에. 어우 템 눌렀어. 뭐해? 어우 답답해 진짜 겁나 못하네.
And yeah, this is again, you're wasting way too much time if you're dying in the gauntlet.
아 근데 너무 소름 돋는 게 오늘 두 가지가 있어요 여러분. 오늘 두 가지가 내가 맨날 강조하던 쇄도와 탐막, 도적 탐막 버프 이런 데서 탐막도 괜찮은 게 그냥 아무데나 막 난사하면서 뛰어다니면 다 튕겨다니면서 다 죽을 거라서 몸 레벨이 낮으니까 도적은 탐막이 좋을 것 같은데 이속 세팅을
4 minutes left.
Yeah, so just over the halfway point, it does look like the sorceress, their natural mobility. I mean, she could teleport, right? That's obviously going to go a little bit faster than somebody.
아 근데 왜 몸 레벨이 이렇게 낮아? 진짜 70단이야?
We're definitely going to crack over that 200k, probably closer to like maybe 300, depending on whether or not he turns on the turbo boosters here. But you're talking about those keys, and maybe I'm just going to spitball this while we're watching here.
방금 잡고 지나온데 또 나오네 정예가. 보스를 방금 잡고 지나온 건데.
To be able to open up these chests, like you said, you have to kill specific monsters in the
14만.
dungeon. They will drop the key.
지금 점수 보면
Now,
14만.
regular chests, there's a golden chest. Obviously, big gold chests worth more points. But the interesting part here is that
9,000
how
맞네.
valuable is
보스
that
9,000점
for you in
정도네요.
your current route
9,000점
is going to
정도야. 그럼
completely
보스만
depend
잡아서 다니는 건
on where you
아니야.
went first. Do you work your way all the way up to that
쫄
key,
많이 잡는 것도
knowing
중요해.
that you pass by a gold chest in your typical
아이언 키가 나왔어,
fully
잠깐.
optimized route? Or is that just not
아이언
your
키
strategy
중요한데?
at all? There's an
아까 보니까 상자
interesting
열자마자
dichotomy there where it's just like depending on
한물이
where the
잡은
keys are spawning on the
효과였거든요.
monsters in that week's gauntlet. Maybe they are huge. Maybe they're pivotal to how you can actually get the highest score possible. Or you kind of have to make the decision. A couple of seconds left in your run, you're like, hey, I got 1 or 2 keys. I see a couple normal chests coming up. I know.
그러니까 청지기가 안 보인다.
Since those are in the same spots as well. I'm gonna make that mad dash. I'm gonna get.
아
back
있다
up into
있다 저기
those
있네.
2 little chests. Sure, that's like good enough for me on this run.
그치 청지기 땡기는 것도 나쁘지
In the
않고.
heat of the moment, or at least at first, when everybody doesn't necessarily.
몰아서
have
잡는 게
their best
중요한
route
빌드
already
같은
mapped out at
경우에는
that point,
그렇긴 한데.
It's going to be where those like small little spikes in score. I'm really excited to see the leaderboard as it develops.
상자 좀 열어봐.
Obviously,
아까
you're
아이언
able
키
to
먹었잖아.
see the actual builds that people are bringing into the gauntlet on that same leaderboard, but you're not necessarily going to know how they ran through it, how they prioritize killing bosses versus the elites, etc. So there's still going to be a little bit of mystery, but at the very least, you'll be able to copy the build if you can at least see the gear that they have.
근데 모팩이 좀 적다.
Gonna be a lot of
모팩이 좀
mystery. How we
적죠.
see it right now, it's
몹이
really a lot
되게
about
산재되어
strategy and
있는데요.
not that yeah, your build obviously will be super important. How quick are you? How quick you can kill the big groups of monsters? How quick you can kill the bosses? But your strategy. I think
몹이 너무
this will be
없어요.
key. Your path through this dungeon. This will be deciding. And yes, the leaderboard will be moving from day 1, and then the very
뭐해?
last day,
갑자기 감정
someone
표현?
gonna sneak in and will be the top of the leaderboard.
야 저거 신단 누르고 와야지. 왜 신단 안 누르고 와?
Sorceress, guys, closing almost 200.
상자 큰 상자가 있네. 봐봐 저렇게 영혼이 나와요 상자 열면.
We had 2 keys. We opened 1 chest.
저렇게
we opened
영혼이
the
나와.
second chest. We are getting a lot of points. We are really close to 200k. And
이렇게
we're
답답하게
moving
해도
forward.
강령보다는 원소가
The
점수가
white
높다.
chest and yellow chest, they both actually cost only
아니
1.
이럴 거면 그 여두루가 평타치나 뭐가 달라 이게.
Yellow chests, they are bigger, they are shiny, they are giving you way more.
아까 강령은 18만이었나 19만이었는데 얘는 20만이 넘어가고 있어.
We need to prioritize the yellow chests. We reached 208k.
답답해 죽겠네. 야, 너 그럼 앞던 70단을 이런 속도로
The other
돈다는
thing
거야?
I just really want to hammer on here is again, so
맵을
this
잘
Sorceress'
봐야겠네.
score, although it's going to be a little bit higher than the Necros that
아,
we just
몹이
saw,
너무
not by a
산재돼 있다,
country mile or
근데.
anything, but this score is insular to this one leaderboard. The Sorceress' score is only going to be
입장은 그때 얘기한 거랑 똑같은 것 같아요.
While you can check your
입장권
ego and
없어요.
check against the other Necromancers, that
그때
has
입장권
no
없다고
impact
분명히
at all
얘기했거든요.
looking at any other class about how
이번
you're
시즌
going to
첫날
rank in that leaderboard,
탕후루
whether or not you're
기억나죠?
going to be
탕후루 그
immortalized
친구.
in the halls forever if you hit
이번
that
시즌
top tier
디자이너.
rank. But on top of that,
그냥
it's not
무한으로
gonna
들어가서 할 수
impact
있겠다, 있게 하겠다
rewards that
이랬는데
you get or anything
그냥
like
들어가서
that.
하네요.
You just need to worry about what every other sorceress in this game is doing.
그러니까
If you're in
맵이
a party, you
아
only need to
근데
worry about what those other party sizes are doing. It's probably my favorite part about this. You know, while there's going to be differences between the classes, I only need to worry about my
여러분.
class. But perfect. Sorry, I was gamering on here. We got another seal of the worthy
여러분,
completion over
건틀렛
200k
너무
silver,
허접한데요?
7 bosses, 39 elite monsters, 674 monsters. If I could ask for anything, I'd
몹이
love to
너무
see these
없는데요?
kind of
이거
stats
뭐
basically at the end of all content in the game. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but seeing those numbers like itches some really good part in my min-max brain there.
Yeah.
칭찬 그만해 이 미친놈들아. 야 너네 얼마 받았어?
Demonic souls I sent back.
너네 얼마 받은 거야?
Totally, I can understand. And we got the reward.
야 너네 방송하지 마.
Each time when you're entering the gauntlet, you're gonna
너희 시청자들이 보고 있다고.
and you're gonna be getting a big reward in the end of each.
지금
week.
방금 그 건틀렛을 하고도
And
칭찬이
we are, I think,
아, 진짜
we
어이가
are
없네.
preparing our third player, we're preparing Leviathan. He's almost ready. He's gonna be joining us with a Barbarian, with a Hota charge Barb. I know everyone wanna see it. So
바바리안 호타바바랑
really rush
선망바바랑
in.
돌진바바를 얘기했는데 뭐 그게 제일 좋지 않겠냐.
That is like that's good. That's going to be season 3. Season 3 is going to be Charge Hoda Barb. We could just put that up on a banner somewhere. We could take down the construct symbol and just put Charge Hoda smashing through the game. No, but Leviathan is an absolute legend from the community. Fun fact about Leviathan: we actually lived in the same city for like a grip, and we just never got the chance to actually sync up. But just like you, we were able to meet him at BlizzCon. He's a phenomenal dude. Shout outs to Leviathan. But it looks like we're actually ready. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Enough sharing, you know.
아니 근데
stories.
몬스터가
See this Hoda Barb.
지금
Big
123레벨이면
sword.
Let's see.
124레벨이잖아요. 이러면 방어도가
Yep, he
You know,
is not
just doing
skipping the
Hoda
post.
Barb
돌격전차
things.
필요 없어요.
No, he decided that
Yep.
15
Easy.
million overpower was
바바다.
how he wanted to approach this scenario. But the charge
이
Hoda
친구
Barb,
좀
so this is-
하는데요?
I think this is kind of like the apex predator of this type of content.
이 친구 아까 걔네보단 나은데?
With a mobility
그냥
skill
바바라서
that
그런
is going
건가?
to clear the trash for you. You have giant Hoda smashes that you can
tab
bring down
누르면
monsters
저렇게 tab
quickly,
누르면
as
애들이
long as he has
나오고.
all this buffs going up. And basically being able to meld these two concepts together.
야만
is what
너프를 안
a
해요.
class
미친놈들이에요.
build strategy is ultimately going to have to look for. You know, maybe you're running double mobility aspects, both one on your boots and one on your amulet, as opposed to worrying about putting another damage aspect there. Because again, remember, these monsters are only level 124. It means that they're 30 levels lower than any tier 100 content you're doing. And I figured this guy was about to get two-shot, but he's giving up a little bit more of a
야,
fight
평타를
here.
왜 치는 거야,
There we go.
도대체?
And GG.
평타를 왜 섞어?
Channeling shrine, more mobility, not worrying about resource. This is what we're looking for in
평타를 왜
Gauntlet
치는 거야?
content. This power. Gene.
보스
All right, calm down.
저렇게 거지같이 세팅해도
Here, Leviathan, my boy.
보스 방금 거의 원콤 날 뻔.
No, he's absolutely smashing. He's absolutely destroying. But
근데 왜 이렇게 약해? 아닌데? 이거 내 70렙짜리 바바보다 약한데요?
on where actually the shrines that are resummoning the monsters are. And yeah, hopefully he has the plan. Yep, he's absolutely flying through this dungeon, picking up everything.
이딴 플레이를 보고 있어야 돼?
Already 64
스트리머 부른 거 맞아?
quite insane. And yeah, I believe in our Leviathan. Leviathan, by the way, he was one of the best demon hunters that there is in Diablo 3 back in the days. And now, and absolutely understandable why he's smashing also on this Barbarian here. And what is also really, really cool, that you need to obviously memorize the map.
아, 건틀릿 안에서 설마. 아니 데미지가 이상해. 아, 아니다. 방금 5,700만 떴는데. 아, 9,700만 떴네. 아, 근데 잠깐만, 그래도 이상한. 제압 떴는데 9,700만? 선망이? 3,000만. 9,000만 나왔어, 제압.
Something interesting to note. All right, I'm going to get a little bit deep on details here because
이상하다.
people haven't studied
아무리 얘네가
shrines
세팅을
work in this
그지같이
game,
했어도
enough to know the numbers off the top of their head. But basically what you're looking
1억
at is a
3천
30-second
떴다.
buff. That is also going to give you
아,
35%
아니야. 방금 1억 3천 떴어요, 선망.
is that each one of them can layer on top with other unique shrines. So you could have a channeling shrine as well as a blast wave shrine.
그냥
as well
막
as a
때린 걸로
shrine,
1억 3천
etc.,
떴거든요.
etc. But getting the same shrine again doesn't actually do
얘네들이
anything.
못하는 거예요.
While it's going to reset that
이
30-second
던전
timer,
내부에서
it's not
뭔가
like double
재조정되거나
blast
이런 건
and double
없습니다.
movement speed.
방금 분명히 1억
So,
3천을 봤어. 선망
when we
데미지.
saw that loop where he actually came back through and immediately killed that boss again,
아무런 버프
that makes sense.
없이
He knows
그냥
it's there, he knows it's
그냥
there.
허공에 때린
Score. That doesn't
선망에 1억
necessarily
3천
mean he got
떴으니까
total benefit out of
데미지는
that
우리가 아는
single
정상적인
shrine.
데미지가
And
나올
being
것
able to
같아요.
basically,
방금도 7천만 떴죠?
lily hopper, like, you know, frog hop over these shrines, always maintaining at least one constant buff for them, might be a way
그냥
of
얘네가
being able to
못하는
add
거야.
on mobility to a build that doesn't normally have it. So maybe you're a huge boss killer, but you can't
도대체
fit
평타를 왜
mobility
치는
anywhere.
거야?
As long as you can plan out how often you get these shrines, you could effectively link together a full 8 minutes of shrine buff, maybe even longer. So,
빨리 이동한다고
like,
평타를
there's so
치고
many things that you could
있는데
be picking out of here, right?
그러느니 돌진 쓰면
Stopping
되잖아.
at individual little monster packs to make
돌진
sure
되게
they're
못
maintaining
맞춘다
your
근데.
buffs. So even if you're not necessarily killing them or they're not high value, you know that you're going to be operating at maximum efficiency when you walk into the next room, where we always will
돌진
remember
쿨일 때
monster,
평타로
there will always be a boss
돌진이
monster
근데
in these
왜
tiles
저러지?
here.
돌진을 9초로 안 맞춘 것 같은데요?
My brain is going crazy right now. The more that I
돌진이
see from
쿨이
this
봐봐.
content, is just like
방금 줄었다.
so exciting to have
그냥 못-
something to like really strive
그냥 못
for
맞추는
in
거야.
this game.
그냥 못
Right? We
맞추는
got the gear, we finished all of our
아니,
farming,
방금
all of
쿨
our-
줄었어.
all of our grinding.
그냥 못
Now
맞추는 거예요.
here's what we do with it.
그냥
Now we
못
actually have
맞추는
something
거야.
to test those builds.
계속 허공에다가 돌진을 써서 쿨이 안 줄어.
Not to mention all the changes coming in this patch alone. I'm gonna have to
근데-
rethink all of the builds I was
근데
expecting.
여기서 이제 재밌는 사실은 여러분,
That's probably,
아까
that's probably the biggest
강령술사가
chagrin I got is,
그러니까 지금 보면 다 못해.
new builds.
우선 지금 하는 애들이 다 못해요. 정상적인 놈이 하나도 없는 상태에서 강령술사가 19만으로 끝났거든요. 그리고 원소술사는 20만으로 끝났어요.
Already right now. He's already
근데 얘는 지금 3분 남았는데 20만
right,
원.
I'm touching this. We already
지금 현실을
know
보여주고
the
있긴 하네요,
way
얘네가.
right how to do it.
현실을 지금 보여주고 있긴 해요.
217K
지금 시간이 이렇게 남았는데
going really, really strong. It was actually really, really cool. We were already saying that every character has the other separate leaderboard. All with the difference in
됐어. 이거는 뭐 굳이 얘 건 보죠.
How many total miles this thing out are? That's a have you okay? It's great at what he.
그러니까 이건 확실해요. 보스를 잡으면 신단이 나온다. 아이언 키가 중간에 떨어져서 그걸로 상자를 열면 점수를 준다. 와, 얘 30만이 넘네. 29만.
You can get in the new map absolutely every single week. And we're getting the rewards in the end of every single
됐다. 이제 야, 너네 똥꼬 빠는 거 못 들어주겠다.
Actually, all of them hit higher scores than they did when we were first running through this.
They
So
did.
They were learning.
Somebody
They were
practiced.
learning the dungeon because again, with Gauntlet, it is a weekly dungeon that does get changed
Yeah, it's
over.
fixed. I mean, every
이제
slot,
주마다 던전이 바뀐다.
come through every chest location, every key drop, like every boss, every shrine. Yeah, it's all.
아까 강령은 19만이었는데
runs and
돌진 쿨도 못 줄이는 바바가 하면은 30만 원 나온다.
Space now. I can run it again. I'll do a little bit better.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I know with we saw some questions of like players, you know, are going like, hey, because we have 3 different classes here, and again, they're all on their own unique leaderboards themselves.
Yeah, every class has its own unique leaderboard. So when you're playing, you know, Charged Barbarian for the season, you're playing against other barbarians, you know, on the leaderboard. But we also have 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player leaderboards as well for players who want to get into parties and try to compete. So we think that's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know
파티 플레이 리더보드가 기대된다고?
rewards and
사바바겠지 뭐,
depending
사바바.
on the seal that you get, you'll actually get more
파티 플레이 리더보드는 다 사바바 아니겠어요?
offer up a
3바바, 4바바, 2바바 끝.
ancestral that I believe is in each cache. So
아니야, 소서도
if you
가능하겠다.
get a seal that worthy, you end up getting for each
중요한 건
time.
강령은 없을
It's-
거라는 거.
and these aren't exactly like the idea of Gauntlet itself is really aspirational. So there are
서로 야코 타느라 바빴나?
of course,
아,
to the Hall of
우리가 이 친구들의 큰 그림을 이해를 못한 거죠?
to a permanent record.
아,
Put it on your resume type of thing.
야코를 타는 건데 우리가 너무 진지충이었다.
Week in the Hall of the Ancients,
아,
where you
서로 약한 척 하고 있는데 우리가 그것도
Yeah, we don't
몰라주고
really want to see the Gauntlet and the Trials feature as a place.
나
where players
세지
can
않아
go
하면서 이제 한
for their
건데
builds. Really more of a place where players are going to go once they've got like really good builds put together to kind of try things out. But yeah, for players who do manage to clear, for every seal that they manage to complete at the end of the week, based on their highest ranking, they're going to get a cache like you called out. And there's a high chance of unique items actually appearing in these caches as well. So you can get 925 uniques out of these. But again, these are really like, you know, more augmenting other things you've been collecting over the course of the season, not like being the primary reason that you're going to the space in the first place.
Yeah, and we actually have a blog that's going up after the stream that actually details out all the information in the Gauntlet, including some other rewards as well for players that hit like the really high ranks of, you know, where they can potentially earn some cosmetic items as well for Gauntlet. So Gauntlet again hitting next Tuesday.
그러니까
And I know for
상위
the first
랭킹
week, we wanna make
상위
sure
랭킹을
players are jumping
찍으면
in, trying it out. Especially with these
유니크
new
형상을
mid-season
주는
update,
거를
we have
생각을 하고
powers
있대요.
and everything like that. And then, you know,
그러니까 이제
let's say we
랭커들만
guys
갖고 있는 형상이 생기는 거죠.
post up feedback on, you know, Reddit, forums, social media. We're going to be checking it out for Gauntlet, making any tweaks if we need to make any tweaks. And then I know we actually have a cool contest that's coming up here, starting on that's tied back to Gauntlet. It's actually starting on March 19th. We're calling it Leaderboard Legends. But the top players in each of the leaderboards, and there are again leaderboards for all the different classes, for all solo, and at the same time for hardcore as well. So if you play in hardcore and if you die in in a gauntlet. Your character's gone. It is hardcore for that reason. So, but we will have opportunities for players to actually earn an exclusive art print from an artist named Mika Ulrich. He's a huge Diablo fan. He actually is making a customized art print. That contest itself will be running for 2 weeks. So we'll have more information on that contest as we get closer to March 19th. But players that do compete on the leaderboards, they'll have the opportunity of actually earning a exclusive like customized art print as well, which is actually pretty cool. So Gauntlet shipping next Tuesday,
하드코어 거칠래?
and it'll be in our, of course, our mid-season patch notes that we have going up tomorrow. So, and we have a blog going later today with a lot of stuff posting. So, really cool
So much stuff happening now here at the back end.
One thing we did want to hit on, and this is some pretty big news from our end. One is it's an update regarding season 4, and I know Joe wanted to talk a little bit about it.
야, 너네 시즌 3 이미 끝났구나.
So we've been talking about season 4 a little bit.
시즌 4에 대해서 얘기를
leading
한대요.
up to the release of season 3, I mentioned some things about season 4. We know there's gonna be a lot of changes being made in that season. You may recall, for some of you who've been around since the launch of the game, we had some streams after season 1 went live. We talked a little bit about some of the changes we wanted to make in season
시즌 3
2.
끝났네요.
We'll remember that, like, you know, vulnerable damage to vulnerable targets was like an extremely powerful stat, an all-encompassing stat, really, in that part of the game. And we had to go back and we really wanted to take a harder and longer look at that, look at overpowering some other things, and try to get the game into a better place. There were just more viable stats for players to proceed with. And that was a good amount of work, I think, that we can suggest. And it was a really great impact on the game overall, but it was, you know, there's some work involved. Season 4 goes well beyond like the scope and scale and changes that we made in season 2, particularly with regards to things like our stats, attributes, and the way that rewards work. So while there were a lot of things that we did in season 2, and we're really happy with a lot of things in season 2 as a result, there was a much better version and expression of the game experience overall. We have a lot more planned in season 4. We've been hard at work for months and months working on a lot of these things.
시즌 2 때 좀 많이 바뀌었잖아요. 스킬들이랑 이런 거 저런 거. 시즌 4 때는 더 많이 바뀔 거래요.
So season 3 came out. We had some changes with it. I think it's gone very, very well. There's a lot of really fun stuff in season 3.
시즌 3가 재밌었대요. 여러분. 재밌대요. A lot of fun이래요.
Season 4 is going to be responding to a lot more of the reward concerns that players have, a lot of things with regards to itemization, and other things we're not going to talk about just yet. But the news that we actually wanted to talk about today is that we're going to be opening up a PTR for Season 4 so that we can get a chance to let the community come in.
시즌 4 PTR 한다네?
Test it extensively before the content actually goes live when Season 4 launches. So it'll be coming up, you know, while Season 3 is still active. The Season 4 PTR will go live, and players get a chance to check that out. And give us.
그러니까 시즌 3는 이제 끝났으니까 이 미친놈들 아니에요? 시즌 4 PTR을 이제부터 즐기면 되겠네요.
The feedback, and if they find issues and balance things, and you know, we'll get.
야, 디아블로 학원이야 이래갖고 사람들이.
Change as we go.
Yeah, and I know players themselves have been asking, you know, hey, how can we make Diablo a better experience? We want to be a part of it. You know, it's something that the team here has most definitely heard.
아, 열받아.
As Joe
지금
mentioned,
담배를 벌써 한갑을 폈거든요, 여러분.
especially around itemization that are coming into season 4. So the team here really did feel a need
1시간 동안
for,
담배를 한갑 폈어요.
a PTR for players to jump in, try it out, provide their feedback. While you know season 3 is still active, of course, because we want to make sure that players are jumping in before season 4 actually does start, and you know giving us that feedback. So we
여러분 좋아요 한 번씩 눌러주세요.
From our end. And I know the team here has been doing a lot of work to incorporate a PTR
좋아요 한 번씩.
into Diablo 4,
감사합니다.
especially for the first time.
부탁드립니다.
And so what we will say is like PTR, of course, will be before season 4 starts. We'll actually have more information here in the coming weeks. We're actually going to have another campfire chat specifically focused around PTR and the content that you'll be playing in PTR. So it's kind of it will be a little bit of a reveal of what you'll be.
PTR 오픈하는 거에 대해서 엄청나게 어필을 하네.
Not everything, but
a huge amount of stuff. Huge amount of stuff to talk about for them.
And I will say it will be we're already talking about it and going like, wow, it's going to be a pretty beefy.
아, 좋아요 감사합니다. 디아블로는 싫어도 이 그지 같은 놈들이 열받아도 제 방송 좋아요는 꼭 부탁드려요.
It is just PC Battle.net to, you know, to be as agile as we want to be with the
감사합니다.
changes on PTR. PC Battle.net was the best option for us. So players on PC Battle.net will be able to experience the PTR themselves. And I will say with PTR, because of the changes that are coming.
PTR 얘기 좀 그만. 지금 시즌 3 얘기 끝난 거야 그럼
As I
설마?
said, that the team felt like, hey, we need a PTR to make sure this happens. Does that mean we'll have a PTR every single season?Maybe not. It depends on the scale of changes that we have. But for season 4, we most definitely plan on having a PTR. And so we'll have news on that.
아,
really
PTR을
soon.
매
So,
시즌마다
really
할 건
excited that
아니고요.
players can jump in, provide feedback.
그럼 자기들이
I know
너무
it's a
힘들대.
long-awaited thing that people will be
어쩌라고.
going like, oh, we would love to be
그래서
able to
근데
jump in,
시즌
but
4는 확실하게
I mean,
PTR을
I've been
하겠대.
playing season 4 internally for weeks at this point.
시즌
Looking
4에
at
대한
character,
PTR은
from
확실하게 할
100,
거고
it's a blast.
그렇다고 매
Really
시즌
looking forward to
PTR을 할 건
feedback
아니래요.
And like thoughts, just getting more eyeballs and some of the stuff that we have planned. It's gonna be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, like I said, we'll be back here in the next few weeks. We'll have
모르겠어.
information on
끝났나?
when that campfire chat will be for PTR and all the information that you guys will be experiencing.
그래서 이 시즌 4 PTR 하는 걸 엄청나게 대단하게 생각하네.
Because I know like not
아니, PTR은
everyone
당연히
has
하는 거야, 이
experienced
친구들아.
PTRs. I probably should define what a PTR is.
가운데 얘가 왜 이러고 있냐면
It is the ability of
가운데 이
players
친구가
being able
IQ가 8이라서
jump
그래요.
into a earlier build. And kind of like test it out. Think of it like almost
보이죠?
like a
이
mini
친구
beta
IQ가
test of
8입니다.
some sort, to experience content that is coming down.
말을
the
못 해요,
line,
그래서.
so that they can actually provide feedback over to us, and then we can make changes before things.
이 친구가 클래스 디자이너예요.
We've had PTRs for Diablo 2. We've had PTRs for Diablo 3.
얘 때문에 강령이 이렇게 된 겁니다.
PTRs for Diablo 4.
잊으면 안 돼요.
Really excited for that, and again, we'll be.
하품한다. 야, 너 딱 걸렸어. 하품 참는 거. 돌려 죽겠지 그냥. 돌리지. 이따위로 해놓고 지금 잠이 와? 하품하고 있네. 이 팔찌는 뭐야 이거?
And then again, we'll remind everyone, you know, at the end of the stream of like checking out the site for all the Gauntlet information and stuff like that. If we can't get to stuff,
Vlogs going live.
vlogs going live.
Yep.
So I know one
Yep.
question that we
이 친구 한마디 했어요. Yep.
within the community is regarding the changes in 1.3.2. With the crafting changes, the ability of being able to craft
우버 크래프팅.
And we've seen some feedback from players related to that, especially related to like resplendent sparks, how many are required for them. I know you guys wanted to talk about that really quickly.
Yeah,
너무
let me-
많다고.
I'll jump into this first, right? So for the uninitiated in 1.3.2 in our last patch, we put in the ability for players to be able to craft these super unique items of their choice once they reach World Tier 4. And they require resplendent sparks to do so. And you get resplendent sparks by finding another uber unique, which are very rare, salvage them, and then that gives you the one material that you need. Now, at launch, you need 5 resplendent sparks in order to craft one of these uber uniques. In the next patch, where this is going to be where the Gauntlet's going live and the trial system is going live, we're going to be reducing that from 5 to 4. Now, why do we choose these numbers?
우버 유니콘 만드는 거
alongside
5개에서
the
4개로.
changes we made as part of that last release, we also dramatically increased the drop rate of Uber Uniques from non-Duriel sources. So while Duriel gives you a fairly steady drop rate chance, still low, obviously.
이미 만든 사람들은 그럼 돌려줄 거야?
They're very rare and very powerful.
하나씩 줄 거야?
It was
아니잖아.
exceptionally rare.
나 이미 다 만들었는데.
To find Uber Uniques outside of the encounter of Uber Duriel, which is one of the reasons why Uber Duriel is so popular. We did dramatically increase that drop rate chance. It's still very, very rare, right? So you're not going to be seeing it all the time, but we are seeing a dramatic uptick in the number of
가운데 졸려, 지금.
dropping throughout the game as a result of this. So why go from, if we heard some of the concerns about the number 5, you know, why would we go from just a 20% reduction to 4? So we are seeing more of these Uber Uniques dropping across the board, as I suggested. And this is sort of us beginning to get a sense of how players are interacting with these features as we start looking towards Season 4. So in terms of like the number of Uber Uniques that are dropping, the way that players are engaging with various parts of the game overall to like farm up these items, you know, we're seeing some changes in patterns, which is really, really cool. We just want to let things evolve a little bit and see how things proceed. And as we kind of get into Season 4, we'll be looking at making potentially further adjustments based upon reception and how we see the numbers actually doing. Yeah. We still want Uber Uniques to remain in a spot where they are very aspirational. They're not expected for every build to have them in order for them to come online and feel fun. Obviously, players really want them. You want them for your characters. They're really potent. But they shouldn't be the thing that is enabling you to really do something fun with your class. It's an extra layer on top of your class once you've managed to get one.
Awesome. Question that we have here is, Are we getting any end game content in season? I'm sorry.
우버 유니크가 없어도 빌드를 잘 짤 수 있도록 하겠다고?
Don't put your names, it doesn't count.
Jucklax.
우버 유니크 없으면 안 되는데.
Jucklax?
Jucklax.
Or Juck with one
Juck.
J.
Juck with the J.
I'm sure everyone's really happy that we're spending all this time on this. Go ahead.
자, 사람들 Q&A.
Are we getting any end game content in season 4?
So I'm
시즌
not
4 얘기 좀
allowed to talk
그만해.
about today, but I would recommend that you definitely check out the PTR stream when we start talking about a lot of the content players are going to get a chance to test as part of that PTR release, because there is
시즌 3
a lot
끝났네.
of stuff that's going to be happening, particularly for endgame players.
There we go. There's a question regarding Gauntlet. Wink. Wink.
I said it, so that's
So, congratulations. We have a question from Globusness. That was, why is the level difficulty only Nightmare 70 for the Gauntlet?
Yes. So we wanted to make sure that Gauntlet content felt something players could start trying to dig into immediately upon entering World Tier 4. Why would we do this? We want players to be able to like ramp up through the content as they're leveling up through that last World Tier, and we wanted to see how players were going to react to it. Basically, as a result of that, like, do players ever want to try playing through it at 85? Because there are, when you're playing through the Gauntlet, there's the seals that I think were discussed during the playthrough. The players can earn based on the point scores you're able to get. If you're crushing those point scores, you're getting rewards for doing that. And it gives you that sense of progression as you go, and you get more and more of your gear online. You find more of the uniques you need. You manage to get like you start getting your 925 items online. Like a lot of your player power can come online as you get your glyphs leveled up and things. It doesn't mean that you need to wait to level at a very high level to be able to go do that content. So we want to make it available, and we also want to focus a little bit more on how quickly players can navigate the space. Use shrines to the best effect, reset creature spawns, fight bosses, spawn bosses. We want to focus more on the strategy element of it rather than the sense that monsters had much higher hit point values and dealt much more damage as part of the run. We weren't looking to like recreate like the AOZ moment, for example, as part of the space. We want this to be a little bit faster, a little bit more approachable for players of different like gear scores effectively when they start getting and build power parity when they start getting to the space. Having like a fully tricked out build is going to still be very, very useful because it allows you to blast a lot faster.
Yeah, and also I'd like just to double
드디어
down.
말한다.
The purpose of the Gauntlet it's not meant
지금
to be
건틀렛
really
얘기하고
hard to
있어요.
get through at all, where like if you just finish it, that's an accomplishment, right? Like AOZ was more that room, like can you beat it?
Yeah.
And that's not what the Gauntlet is. The Gauntlet is about how quickly can you beat it, how do you optimize, how do you strategize, how do you change your route? It's a different thing that we're testing for players. It's not just about defeating it at all.
It's about the point score.
Yes.
그러니까 너네들이 빌드를 이것 가지고 더 빨리 해보고 이것 가지고 더 해보고 건틀렛이라는 게 사실 너네들이 빌드를 이것저것 해볼 수 있는 뭘 줬다 이거예요. 시즌 4에 대해서 계속 사람들이 물어보는데 시즌 4는 PTR을 할 거니까 그때 너네들이 알게 될 거다. 그만 좀 물어봐라.
So it's if you are a PC Battle.net user.
아니 시즌 4 같은 소리 하고 있네 진짜.
We'll have instructions and everything of how to do that once we have the PTR up and we have the stream. And
시즌 4에 사람들이 이제 올지 말지도
Is
모르겠는데.
PTR free from Midwest Bob? Yes, it is. Is there an NDA? No, there's not an NDA. Can you stream it? Of course you can. So yes, we'll have more information on that again with the PTR. I know there's a lot of PTR questions.
I just want to make really clear, like it is free as long as you are a person who owns Diablo 4 on Battle.net.
Correct.
So
yes,
correct.
correct. Yes. It's if you're already an owner of Diablo 4 on Battle.net. Good clarification. Fonz asks, Adam, will you be able to see a breakdown of individual score relative to the other people in your party in the Gauntlet? Actually, that's a good question. If you can go to the leaderboard and actually inspect players, because I haven't done that myself on the build. So
yeah, right now it's party score, so it's totaling up the value of your whole team.
Person.
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
There is no I in team. Or party.
I guess my own sub question to that would be on a solo leaderboard. Would you be able to actually see someone's build
건틀렛
if they're in the
파티는
profile not private or something like that? Can you actually pull up their character?
Yeah, you'll be able to see the skills they have equipped at the time, and you'll be able to see like their key passive. So yeah, you can't look at their whole skill tree, but like you can see a lot of information about them.
Awesome.
Because we don't talk about this, but we actually did make some updates to the profile screen. We made some updates at the same time. They'll be showing up in that release.
Imligit says, will the Gauntlet leaderboard be region locked? No, because everyone's
건틀렛 리더보드에 이제 사람들 뭘 보여주는 거를 얘기를 하는 거에 대해서 프로파일 스크린이 떠가지고 그 사람의 뭐 스킬이든 템을 먹겼고 스킬을 먹겼고 정복자를 먹겼고 해서 모든 걸 볼 수 있게 하겠대요.
That's right.
Does the companion go with you in the Gauntlet? So I think I saw this comment a lot. Well, especially when Stephen Leviathan was playing through because he was the charge
이제
player.
건틀렛에
And so a
있는
lot
거
of people
보고
thought you
사람들이
could have
빌드 따라하는
a
방식이
seneschal
되겠죠?
construct with them. Now, just charge barbs just move really fast. So he most definitely was there. The construct was there and was following him and stuff like that. So
it'll be with you inside
it will
the
be with you inside the Gauntlet. And just so that you guys are aware, Gauntlet is a feature that is not just Season 3.
Yeah.
It is a feature that goes beyond Season 3. This is a part of Diablo 4 going
Yeah,
forward.
so generally your seasonal powers and things will go into the Gauntlet. You'll be able to bring everything to bear that you can.
Yeah, we talked about this quite a bit actually, whether we want that to be the case, and we think it's more fun to allow these things to coexist.
Yeah.
건틀렛은 이번에만 하는 게 아니라 영원히
Why is there
지속된다.
minimal mob density in Gauntlet? The Barbarian added density. How am I supposed to play this with my friends? I think players, with Gauntlet is like a different type of like play style. Players will most definitely have. You'll learn the dungeon throughout that week.
좀 던전 도는 거랑 건틀렛은 방식이 다른데
You don't have to kill that boss right there. You can most
뭐
definitely.
보스를
bypass
무조건
it.
죽여야 되는
Maybe
것도
even
아니고
leash it or bring it with you into
Yeah.
other.
네 맘대로
rooms.
돌아다니면서
You might want to save it
잡고
because you might want the shrine later in a different
Exactly.
way.
There are
Yeah.
shrines that actually bring back mobs back to life, so you can immediately get an additional score. And so there's a lot of strategy involved with it. So I know a lot of people are going like, "Hey, there's
슈라인
specific
전략도
moments
있을 수
where,
있고.
like, Stephen was like didn't have anyone to kill there."
저거 이미 다
because,
받아놓은
you know,
거예요.
You can actually strategize and pull specific things and try to figure out exactly what ends up working really well for your character, your build, or how you want to actually maybe use shrines to benefit exactly who you killed there.
Yeah, we're not looking to make a slow-paced experience with the Gauntlet, which I think you probably saw. You saw the players getting a chance to check it out earlier. But we're also not trying to maximize density in the same way that we would in like Nightmare Dungeons or Helltide areas. You know, players aren't getting loot drops and they're not getting a lot of experience in these creatures. So that really the focus is on the player having an idea of like where they can find packs of mobs and where mobs can be found in general in the space, and navigating the environment carefully in order to like maximize their point gain during that time. And then interacting with these other things along the way. What's with why are you smiling?
It's just, I have a question from someone in here, but this is the most hilarious.
그 건틀렛 던전 같은 경우에 모팩을 막 여기저기 막 늘리고 이런 거에 대해서 뭐 얘기를 했는데 얘네들이 이제 건틀렛에서 중요하게 생각하는 거는 그러니까 패스 어느 길로 가고 어떤 슈라인을 이용하고 어떤 보스를 잡고 너 각각의 이제 빌드들을 사용해갖고 어디가 더 길이 빠른지 이런 걸 하는 거지. 막 모팩을 막 미친 듯이 늘려서 막 너네들이 신나게 광치면서 하는 뭐 그런 거를 의도한 게 아니래요.
Username.
I look forward to this.
I'm gonna say it, but it's.
우리는
hilarious.
그게 하고 싶은 건데.
Bob Dole's blue pills.
Very good.
Any
말이야,
possibility
방구야,
of
뭔
getting
말이야,
better
저거.
cosmetics through gameplay, maybe through Gauntlet, skins on par from the shop, etc. This is actually a active conversation that's been happening a lot.
다 고정돼 있어요. 완전 고정.
That we've seen regarding.
그러니까 하다 보면 이제
stuff. So I will say that we'll have. We don't
그러니까
have
이게 건틀렛에서 아마 나중에도 얘기를 하겠지만 실현의 터? 건틀렛이 우리 아마 실현의 터라고 나올 텐데 그게 다 고정이기 때문에 사실 지금 빌드도 빌드인데 아마 루트가 중요할 거예요. 루트. 단순하게 어떤 빌드 왜냐면 지금 몹이 저 정도면은 몸 레벨이 124, 125면 70단, 80단인데 지금 다들 100단도 지겨워서 그러고 돌고 있는 마당에 70단, 80단을 도는 건데 사실 빌드가 뭐가 중요해? 그냥 빨리 하면서 길 잘 뚫는 방식이 아마 점수를 많이 딸 것
anything
같아요.
to say right now, but we'll have some more news regarding some items related to the shop that we'll be sharing here over the coming weeks and months and stuff that will
아,
kind
겁나
of,
마음에 안 드네, 진짜.
help with some of this conversation I know that we've been hearing. Sorry, that name was just wow. Al
웃음이 나오냐?
Quadrodia asks.
Killing it over there.
I know, amazing. Adam, perfect. Where can we find new vampiric legendary aspects? This is something we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, and if for people that are just kind of tuning in, vampiric powers are coming back into season 3 a little bit, tuned a little bit differently.
Yeah, some of them.
But
So you'll be able to find them the same way you can find any other legendary in the game. They're just gonna be random drops everywhere. None of them, just to clarify.
이번에 흡혈의 힘 6개가 이제 전부 다 위상으로 들어오죠. 그거에 대해서 어디서 얻냐 했더니 똑같다. 그냥 랜덤 드랍이다. 알아서 얻어라. 그걸 왜 나한테 물어보냐 뭐 이런
They're
거예요.
not gonna be in the in the dungeons like the Codex of Power. None of them are going.
그냥
to
위상
that.
얻듯이 그냥 아무 데서나
Just
얻어라
like
이거예요.
other legendaries just randomly out in the world. So no different than any of those.
Awesome.
뭐 특정
Chronix,
던전에서 얻거나
DR,
그게
Nightmare
아니고.
Vaults were a community favorite and very awesome to run through. Will they come back after season 3?
There are a lot of really good learnings from Nightmare Vaults and a lot of the content we have in Season 3 that's kind of advising things we're doing with Nightmare Dungeons across the board. While Nightmare Vaults themselves are not immediately returning like in Season 4, for example, they are also something we're going to be continuing to look at and think about for future releases. So, but we're really glad that players have found like some value in them and just how exciting they are and how punchy they are on the reward side.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're fun. They're a great disruption to the Nightmare Dungeon loop sometimes too.
Yeah.
Afrojack365 says, "Do you guys plan on offering
쓸데없는
an
얘기.
armory to maybe swap builds?" This is something that we've heard a lot over.
We've talked about it before too on stream.
Yeah.
We really like this idea. The systems teams, the UI teams, all like the idea of doing this. There are
이거 지금 중요한 거 얘기했어요. 우리가 맨날 얘기하는 스왑하는 거 있죠? 빌드 스왑. 그러니까 뼈창하다가 뭐 피창이 하고 싶어. 그럼 버튼 하나 누르면 바꾸는 거. 그거 안 되냐고 물어본 거예요.
there are plans for us to add it somewhere in the future, but we don't have dates to talk about yet. This is something we really like the idea of. We want to make sure that it's added.
다시 들어보자. 뭐라는지.
Yeah, we really like this idea.
We've heard a lot
Yeah,
over.
we've talked about it before too on stream.
Yeah.
We really like this idea. The systems teams, the UI teams, all like the idea of doing this. There are plans for us to add it somewhere in the future, but we don't have dates to talk about yet. This is something we really like the idea of. We want to make sure that the game is, when we launched the game, we had this idea of like having some sense of like build permanence and things. We thought that was really important. Harkening back to some of the some bits in the past from Diablo 2 and other games, but increasingly as we've been continuing to build the game and receive feedback and play it ourselves, we're finding we really want to be able to embrace a lot more flexibility. You'll see some steps in that direction also in season 4, but this is an example of a thing where it's we do in an effort to make sure the players can kind of change the way they want to play more easily. This is a feature we'd like to support. We want to do it the right way. So this, these are things that we continue to be discussed.
Yeah.
오케이. 이게 좀 중요한 얘기를 했거든요. 빌드 수와. 빌드 스왑에 대해서 물어봤는데, 라디오 어서 와요. 그냥 버튼 하나 딱 바꾸면 바꾸고 이런 거에 대해서 UI 팀이랑 얘기를 하고 있대요. 나 진짜 그놈의 얘기하고 있다 언제까지 할 거야. 어쨌든 인진을 하고 있다 이거예요. 인진을 하고 있고 빌드 스왑하는 거를 버튼 하나 딱 누르면 바꾸는 거에 대해서 UI 팀이랑 디스커스팅 하고 있대요.
And this is on top of some of the other
모르진 않네요.
from players going hey, social features and things like that.
시즌 4에서는 아까 그 얘기는 했어요. 시즌 4에서는 지금보다 좀 더 이질리하게 할 수 있대요. 그러니까 뭔가를 하긴 할 건가 보네. 시즌 4에.
It's a priority within the team. They're working on things and stuff, and we'll have more info to share here soon on those aspects. I'll end on this. This one's a good one for Mr. Adam Jackson.
Sure.
Because this specifically talks about the Necromancer and some of the changes that are coming. This is from First Time Cheddar. Why would you guys remove damage from Death's Reach's passive? Is that contrary to the no nerfs policy you had mentioned for mid-season updates? Why didn't you just add speed on top of the damage?
Yeah, I would say one.
잠깐만, 뭐라고?
Damage from Death was already within the team. They're working on things and stuff, and we'll have more info to share here soon on those.
그 얘기는 안 했어요.
those
언제부터라고.
aspects. I'll end on this. This one's a good one for Mr. Adam Jackson.
Sure.
Because this
아담 잭슨, 드디어 이 아담 잭슨 클래스 디자이너한테 특정된 질문이 들어왔어요.
talks about the Necromancer and some
강령술사.
coming. This is from First Time Cheddar. Why would you guys remove damage from Death's Reach's passive? Is that contrary to the no nerfs policy you had mentioned for mid-season updates? Why didn't you just add speed on top of the damage?
Yeah, I would say one, as far as comparing damage to move speed, I think it's a pretty clear winner that move speed is a better stat and has more power than damage in our game. I think when we think about Necromancers in general, even across the game in general,
무브 스피드가 파워보다 중요하다고 인식을 한대요.
We undervalued move speed as far as how strong it is. Like we knew it was strong and good, but we didn't realize just how important and like almost one-dimensional move speed. If you have the option to teleport or move faster or get something,
그러니까 딴 애들은 텔레포트 있고 이동기 있는데 강령술사는 왜 이동기가 없냐 뭐 이런 얘기를 하고 있어요. 그래서 이동이 중요하다는 거는 안다.
quickly, that matters more than pretty much every other stat once you get to a point where you can kill things quickly, right?
죽이고 빨리 가고 죽이고 빨리 가고 죽이고 빨리 가고 플리커 빌드처럼.
So as far as why didn't we just like add move speed on top of the damage? Generally, when it comes to our passives, we try to keep our passives simply designed of like this is what the passive does, and it's all themed together and you know like makes sense in a specific way. So we try not to have a lot of different effects on a single passive, or even ones that are like very disparate that don't really make sense to be together. And I think like moving quickly and having damage to distant enemies doesn't like, you know, you move quickly to close distance, not to stay distant more often than not because you're moving forward through a dungeon. So yeah, that was just a call that we made. Like it's something we can very easily add damage back to the Necromancer in a more
I think
general way
you
too,
already
which
have
we
in
do.
different ways, but yes.
Yeah, you know, we add damage in a bunch of different places. Like damage is very easy to add, whereas move speed not so much. So we thought that the passive slot was a really good way because we really wanted just a generic passive. The Barbarian, I believe, also has one now that just gives you more move speed, so you can just go through the game better.
Yeah.
So we felt like it was just a better choice for the class, and like I don't think that too many people are going to miss damage to distant as much because it's way more niche than something that's just generically strong like move speed. And you know, if Necromancers need damage, we have a million places we can add them back. I'm not too worried about that.
Awesome. And you had mentioned like even like Necromancers are getting because a lot of these mid-season updates themselves are related to minions, and a lot more changes are even coming in season 4. You had mentioned beforehand as well. So
yeah, I think it's important to maybe address the other part though, of like, did we see this as kind of going back on our promise to not nerf things? You know, so I think this is why we kind of resist the urge generally in mid-season patches to redesign things completely, because then it's kind of a crapshoot. Like, is it a buff? Is it a nerf? If it's a redesign and it could be seen poorly. We just feel like in this case, move speed is such a clear win that we were willing to do that. But we're open to the feedback, and you know, if this is too risky to the players and they don't like that, then we're willing to bend on that. I think that's okay. We just felt like this was kind of an open and shut case.
cool. Well, thank you guys very much for
미친놈이야. 문제 없대요.
Shut case.
Cool.
That
지금 어쨌든 마지막에 네크로맨서 얘기를 쭉 했어요.
Damage to distant as much because it's way more niche than something that's just generically strong like move speed. And you know, if Necromancers need damage, we have a million places we can add them back. I'm not too worried about that.
awesome. And you had mentioned
네크로맨서 데미지 문제가 없다는데요?
like even like Necromancers are getting because a lot of these mid-season updates themselves are related to minions, and a lot more changes are even coming in season 4. You had mentioned beforehand as well.
그래서 시즌 4에는 미니언에 대한 거를 좀 더 많이 하겠다.
Also,
Yeah, I think it's important to maybe address the other part though, of like, did we see this as kind of going back on our promise to not nerf things?
뭐 너프는 안 할 거고 당연하지. 너프를 왜 미친놈들한테.
You know, so I think this is why we kind of resist the urge generally in mid-season patches to redesign things completely, because then it's kind of a crapshoot. Like, is it
완전 리디자인 하는 건 쉽지 않다고. 리디자인 해. 니네가 게임을 잘못 만들었잖아.
a buff? Is it a nerf? If it's a redesign and it could be seen poorly. We just felt like in this case, move speed is such a clear win that we were willing to do that. But we're open to the feedback, and you know, if this is too risky to the players and they don't like.
아니 너무 리디자인하고 너프 뭐 하는 거는 우리한테 너무 위험하다는 거예요. 우리를 병신으로 하네요. 막 이렇게 했다 저렇게 했다 하면은 우리가 너무 힘들대. 그래서 우리를 위해서 큰 변화를 주지 않는 거래요.
Like that, then we're willing to bend on that. I think that's okay. We just felt like this was kind of an open and shut case.
cool. Well, thank you guys very much for the insight and the info on the mid-season update, and of course Gauntlet. Again, thank you again to Macro Bioboy and Anna Cake Live for joining us.
이제 이 시즌 4에 어쨌든 살짝 리디자인도 할 거래요. 시즌 4에 근데 얘네들 이거 시즌 2 때도 이 얘기하지 않았어요? 이 그지 같은 놈들 계속 뒤로 미루네. 계속 시즌4에 한대. 시즌4에 리디자인 어느 정도는 할 거고 네크로맨서에 대한 난 진짜 제일 업이 없어서 뭐 너프는 안 할 거라고. 무슨 야
And our three devs, John,
Oh, 열받아.
Steven, and Liam, for jumping in and playing through. Again,
Nope.
Gauntlet is coming out with 133, which is our mid-season update. That will be hitting next Tuesday on March
아담 잭슨
6th.
이
So
새끼가
players will be able to
문제구나.
actually jump in, check out Gauntlet. We're
이
really looking
아담
forward to
잭슨 이
seeing
새끼가
feedback from
문제였어.
the communities, and, you know,
아, 미안합니다.
let us know,
너무
like,
막말해서.
hey, are there any
죄송해요.
tweaks and stuff like that we can end up
계열받네, 진짜.
monitoring that from that end. Another thing that we'll be monitoring is the question we asked
이해를
earlier,
못하네.
that Adam had asked earlier
이동
about
속도가
how,
뭐가 이렇게 중요하다고 이동 속도에
see
꽂혔어
specific
갑자기.
updates, happen with classes and like,
그러니까 뭐냐면 아까 그 얘기를 했어. 이번에 아예 이속을 줬잖아요. 패시브 스킬 중에 이속을 줬는데 솔직히 말해서 그건 다른 직업들은 다 원래 있는 건데 강령에게 그냥 이속을 줬다는 거예요. 그러니까 이동기에 대해서 물어보니까 이래저래 하느니 그냥 깔끔하게 이속을 줬다 이거야.
guys may have. So like by all means have those conversations.
복잡하게 생각할 거 없고 그냥 이속을 줬다 이거야. 네크로맨서가 느리다고 하니까.
And just a reminder, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass later this later. I almost said later this.
게임 패스 같은 소리 하고
29 is a leap year day, by the way. It is not March yet. Bamboozled. But it's coming later in March. It'll be on March 28th. So players will be able to check
March
it out
20?
on Game Pass. Diablo 4 will be the first Blizzard title on Game Pass. We're really excited about that. So
게임 패스에 블리자드 디아블로 들어가는 거에 대해서 뭐
and
기대된다고.
blog post, and there's actually a blog post up right after this stream for the Gauntlet. So make sure to check that out for all the information related to Gauntlet before next week.
다음
Of
주
course, we will be back in a couple weeks to talk about that beefy campfire chat related to PTR and season 4. So
그럼 다음 주에 하겠다는 거야? 다음 주에 건틀렛을 하겠다는 건가? 2주 후에 couple of weeks 후에 다시 화형식을 해서 자기들이 저기 그 나무를 세워놓고 자기들 몸을 묶은 다음에 자기들 몸을 불태우겠대요. 그랬으면 좋겠다. 이 새끼들 그냥 다 묶어놓고 불태워버리면 안 돼요? 건틀렛이랑 PTR에 관한 걸 한 번 더 한대요.
looking forward to it.
어쨌든 아까 얘기 드린 것처럼 시즌 4에 대한 건 PTR을 무조건 한다고 했으니까 2주 후에 한다고 했거든요. 근데 그러면 이제 건틀렛을 다음 주 하겠다는 거거든. 자, 마지막으로 정리해드리겠습니다. 아, 개열받네 진짜. 또 예고를 했는데 또 예고를 하네요. 흡혈귀의 힘은 총 6개. 모두 위상으로. 탈퇴, 우리가 아는 그 탈퇴랑 불멸은 내가 스킬 쓸 때마다 피 차는 거 있었죠? 그러니까 이제 피를 채우지 못했던 직업들은 불멸. 그리고 피종기, 그 제압 넣는 거 있죠? 20초에 한 번씩 제압 넣고 종기들 나와서 그 터지는 거. 피종기. 그리고 흡혈귀의 힘이 들어가요. 흡혈귀의 힘이 걸린 애들은 취약까지 같이 걸리는 걸로. 그리고 월출이 들어가요. 월출. 기본 스킬 쓰면 공속 빨라지는 거 있죠? 월출. 그리고 이게 이름이 기억이 안 나는데 기본 스킬 5번 쓰면은 지금 쿨 돌고 있는 쿨들 중에 랜덤으로 하나 4초 줄어드는 거. 쿨다운 감소. 이 6개가 들어갑니다. 6개가 들어가고 스냅샷은 없어져요. 스냅샷 없어지고 건틀렛은 딱 들어가면 와우 쐐기처럼 들어가면 아무것도 변경이 안 돼요. 스킬 변경도 안 되고 파라곤 변경도 안 되고 그러니까 딱 하나 골라서 그걸로 쭉 해야 되는 거. 그리고 청지기 같은 경우에 함성 같은 버프 이제 안 받아서 좀 약해지고 출혈이랑 포이즌이랑 그 불타는 거 있죠? 도트댐들 다 너프. 그리고 폭풍우도 너프돼요. 폭풍우가 어떤 몹이 죽으면 옆으로 퍼질 때 댐증하고 시간 증가되는 것 이것도 너프. 그러니까 청지기 딜은 어쨌든 다 너프. 그러니까 청지기를 딜로 쓰는 건 하지 마라. 그리고 도적은 무속 버그 바로 패치 없어졌어요. 이제 무속 버그 없습니다. 아니 도적을 왜 너프하는 거야 생뚱맞게. 그리고 이제 바바리안은 베리 파워풀이라고 자기들끼리 얘기했어요. 엄청 파워풀하대. 알고 있대. 근데 너프 안 할 거래요. 아무것도 시키지 말래요. 아는데 안 할 거래요. 이번 시즌은 냅두겠답니다. 다음 시즌에 너프 할 거래요. 우선은 하래요, 그냥. 떼든 말든 그냥, 그러니까 이번 시즌도 봐봐 하라 이거죠. 영원히 봐봐 해라. 그러면서 갑자기 버프를 해줬어요. 발구르기 스턴 시간 뭐 증가시켜주고요. 철갑 피부 라인 중에 보강 채우는 걸 15에서 20으로 늘려주고, 선조의 부름에서 그 뒤에 라인에 보너스 데미지 증가되는 걸 10% 증가시켜주고, 그 휘린드 관련 유니크를 버프 시켜줬어요. 그래서 이미 센 거 아는데 그거 말고 딴 거 버프. 미친놈들이죠? 거의 정신 나간 놈들이에요. 봐봐, 너프가 1도 없습니다. 버프만 있어요. 원소술사 화염 관련된 거 다 버프. 화염 원소 쪽에 완전 핵떡상이에요. 40% 증가, 데미지를 그냥 40% 올려버렸고, 화염 하래요 그냥. 번개랑 뭐 눈보라 이런 것만 하고 있으니까 화염 하래요, 화염. 그리고 드루이드 같은 경우에 폭풍 쪽 엄청 너프, 버프, 폭풍 쪽 엄청 올려줬어요. 도적 같은 경우에는 기본 스킬을 활을 안 쓰니까, 구멍 뚫기 뭐 이런 것만 쓰니까 활 기본 스킬 자체의 기본 공속 20%를 증가해줬어요. 그 가이드로 같은 거 있죠? 그거랑 그 일자로 나가는 거. 활 관련된 기본 스킬 두 가지가 공속이 20% 증가되고, 연타도 버프가 됐고요. 정밀도의 요구치가 6에서 4로 줄어들었어요. 정밀도 상향. 그 다음에 탐막 위상이 엄청 좋아집니다. 그래서 탐막이 완전 떡상. 왜냐면 지금 또 이러면 제 생각에는 건틀렛에서 탐막이 좋을 것 같은 게, 애들이 지금 악던 70단 정도밖에 안 돼서 스쳐도 사망이에요. 그러면 굳이 그 샌디를 넣을 이유가 없고 그냥 탐막으로 막 사방팔방 다 퍼뜨리면서 날아다니면은 이게 제일 빠를 것 같은데, 어쨌든 마침 제가 하고 있던 도적이 탐막 도적이었죠. 하늘사냥꾼의 탐막이 아마 미쳐 날뛰지 않을까 싶어요. 그리고 강령술사 같은 경우에는 소환수의 기본 데미지를 올려주고 소환수들의 기본 피통을 올려줬어요. 이런 쓸데없는 패치했고, 이교 우두머리의 전설 로드에 공속이 빨라지는 만큼 애들 데미지 증가되는 게 10%였는데 15%로 5% 증가해줬고, 그리고 이교 우두머리 문양 있죠? 문양 같은 경우에 그냥 물리 데미지 10% 증가했는데 그게 아니고, 그거는 그대로 두고 플러스로 미니언 한 마리당 본체 이속 1%. 그러니까 미니언 11마리 뽑고 다니면,
구독 감사합니다.
어서오세요. 미니언 11마리면 이속 11%를 문양으로 주겠다. 지금 이속에 꽂혔어요. 얘네들이 거의 정신 나갔거든요. 강령술사 이동기 없다 보니까 이속을 올려주는 거에 지금 목숨을 걸고 있어요. 그리고 이제 수학자들, 해골 중에 나쁜 애들 있죠? 수학자들이 시체를 15% 만드는데 너무 안 만들어서 많이 만들게 해주겠대요. 그 이후에는 시즌4에 하겠대요. 어쨌든 시즌4에 소환수 관련된 걸 뭔가 하겠다고 거의 리빌딩 수준을 계속 얘기하고 있어요. 시즌4에 소환수를 좀 많이 버프를 하겠다. 그 전에는 이 정도만 하겠다 얘기했고, 패시브 중에 가시 있죠? 가시는 그대로 두고 아머까지 추가가 돼요. 15%. 그러니까 그 가시 패시브를 찍으면 본체 방어도가 올라갑니다. 근데 찍을 스킬 포인트가 없는데 이걸 왜 해? 그리고 원거리 댐증 해주는 패시브 있죠? 그거를 원거리 댐증 아무도 안 쓰니까 이걸 없애버렸고 이속으로 바꿔놨어요. 또 이속이죠? 그러니까 지금 보면 미니언 한 마리당 이속 1%니까 6마리, 5마리에서 11%, 골렘까지 하면 12%가 증가된 상태에서 패시브 12%에서 24% 잘 맞추면 이속 24%를 주겠다는 겁니다. 근데 이거는 뭐 그래요. 그리고 이제 핵심 스킬 중에 3가지, 마른병이랑 쇄도랑 절단, 이 3가지를 버프한답니다. 쇄도 버프하는 건 좋네요. 그러니까 지금 대충 지금 쇄도가 좋았었는데도 더 좋아질 것 같고, 그리고 건틀렛을 쫙 봤더니 몸 레벨이 124, 125밖에 안 돼요. 그래서 보스가 한 9,000점 정도 돼요. 그리고 몹 정에 포함된 한 팩 잡았을 때 한 만점. 그러니까 보스 한 마리 잡는 거랑 정예가 포함된 어떤 한 무리, 몹팩이 별로 많지가 않아요. 몹팩이 다시 한번 영상들을 쫙 이렇게 봐드릴 건데, 몹 한 팩 좀 큰 거 잡는 거랑 보스 한 마리 잡는 게 똑같아요. 점수가 이거 아니고 9,000점 정도 돼요. 9,000점. 그리고 우버 크래프팅 5개에서 4개로 줄여줬어요. 1개 줄였습니다. 그리고 PTR에 대해서 시즌4에는 PTR을 할 건데 매번 하는 건 너무 힘드니까 매 시즌마다 안 할 거랍니다. 이번에만 할 거래요. 가끔 할 거다 이거예요. 가끔 좀 큰 변화가 있을 때. 그러니까 지금 시즌4에 자기들은 엄청나게 큰 변화가 있을 거라고 계속 얘기하고 있어요. 전체적으로. 아까 소환수도 그렇고 뭔가 리빌딩을 좀 많이 할 것 같아요. 그럴 때마다 PTR. 이제 확장팩 같은 경우도 이제 PTR 한번 하겠죠. 그러니까 이번에 시즌4 PTR 한번 하고 그 다음에 한 시즌6나 7쯤에 확장팩 맞춰가지고 그때 또 PTR 한번 하겠죠. 그래서 매번 하는 건 아니고 이번엔 무조건 할 거다. 그리고 건틀렛 리더보드 같은 경우에 프로파일 스크린이 떠가지고 건틀렛 리더보드에 그 얘기 했었잖아요. 각 상위 그 디아3 생각하시면 됩니다. 옆에 누르면 그 사람 템, 뭐 모든 걸 다 볼 수 있게 한대요. 그럼 이제 우리는 이걸 보고 따라하는 방식으로 또 이제 가겠죠. 그리고 건틀렛은 이번 시즌만 하는 게 아니라 이번에 한번 만들어 놓고 영원히 지속할 거랍니다. 그리고 이제 빌드 수학 관련된 거, 이게 되게 중요한 얘기를 했어요. 우리가 지금 뭐 이 빌드 하다 저 빌드 하다 할 때마다 파라곤을 다시 찍고 하고 있는데 그거를 원 버튼으로 눌러가지고 바꾸는 것들에 대해서 UI 팀이랑 얘기를 하고 있대요. 이놈이 얘기하고 있다. 이 얘기는 즉슨 한 시즌 한두 개는 지나면 들어온다는 얘기죠. 시즌 4에는 안 들어올 것 같아요. 빌드 수합에 대해서. 그래서 보시면 중요 부분만 다시 봅시다.
work with IU for a new construct family in them.
That buff going until I can't snapshotting.
스냅샷을 얘기한 건데
It's gonna
이거예요.
obvious exact differences between
딱
these and
6개를
what's in
주는
season
거예요. 6개인데 이게 이제 뱀피릭 터치, 그 흡혈귀의 힘, 흡혈귀의 힘 중에 그 흡혈귀의 힘이라고 기본이 있었죠. 우리 거의 잘 안 썼던 거. 내가 스킬 쓰면 뱀피릭 컬스가 걸리는 거. 근데 공격 위상이에요. 얘를 껴야지 뱀피릭 컬스가 걸렸을 때 취약이 걸리는 걸로 갔어요. 그리고 뱀피릭 컬스 걸리면은 소울 데미지 증가하는 거 똑같죠. 완전 똑같아요. 완전 똑같습니다. 근데 공격 위상이에요. 지금 위상 자리 없죠. 그리고 이거에 대해서 아까 또 누가 물어봤는데 그 Q&A에서 위상은 그냥 우리가 원래 알듯이 그러니까 뭐 듀리엘 잡든 뭐 이런 게 아니고 일반 위상처럼 그냥 필드에서 어디든 뭐 던전 돌다가 전설로 얻어서 이제 뽑아서 쓰는 방식이 되겠죠. 어떤 특정 던전이라든가 보스에서 드랍하는 건 아니랍니다. 그 6개나 만들다 보니까 얘네가 유니크로 안 만들고 위상으로 했어요. 그렇죠도 낄 자리가 없는데 더 없겠네요. 이렇게 되면은 여전히 바바승이죠. 우리는 있어도 못 쓸 겁니다. 그리고 이제 이게 아까 말했던 피종기예요. 피종기. 20초에 한 번씩 제압을 넣어주는 강제 제압. 이제 제압이 없는 직업 같은 경우도 이 피종기를 썼었고 제압을 쓰는 직업도 썼었잖아요. 이거를 줬는데 공격 위상이라서 이거 하나 쓰겠다고 쓰지는 않겠죠. 이건 아무도 안 쓸 겁니다. 그리고 이게 불멸이에요. 불멸. 내가 뭔가 했을 때 피가 차는 피통이 50% 이하일 땐 2배로. 이게 이제 사실상 방어 위상이죠. 보시면 방어 위상이고 아뮬렛은 낄 수 있으니까 2.5%가 되겠죠. 2.5%가 아니지. 어쨌든 3%가 되겠네요. 근데 이게 얘는 쓸만해요. 얘는 피 채울 수 없는, 예를 들어 뼈창이라든가 이런 것들은 이제 스킬 쓸 때마다 피가 차니까 불면은 쓸만한데 방어 이상이라는 거예요. 일자리가 없습니다. 그리고 나머지 3개가 이거예요. 메타모포시스, 이제 탈퇴가 예상대로 신발로 나왔습니다. 탈퇴가 예상대로 신발로 나왔는데 이게 문제입니다, 여러분. 보시면 말 그대로 똑같아요. 우리가 원래 알고 있던 스페이스 누르면 저지 불가가 걸려요. 2.5초 동안. 그러면 스페이스를 2.5초에 한 번씩 누르면 계속 저지 불가를 유지를 할 수 있겠죠. 그쵸? 근데 뱀피릭 커스도 걸려. 근데 뱀피릭 커스가 걸리는데 이 탈퇴로 취약을 걸려면 여전히 이 공격 위상도 같이 써야 된다는 거예요. 공격 위상 같이 쓰면서 신발 쓰면은 탈퇴만으로 스페이스만으로 취약을 거는 게 되는데 이걸 끼면 이베이드의 쿨다운이 5초가 늘어납니다. 5초가. 이베이드의 쿨다운이 5초가 늘어나요. 이러면 돌격전차 다시 빠입니다. 그러면 지금 뭔가 돌격전차 때문에 방어도 관련된 것들을 하나만 챙겨서 했던 거가 없어지는 거예요. 다시 방어구에 방어도를 2개 이상 붙이셔야 됩니다. 불복 쓰려면. 근데 불복도 그지 같죠. 처음부터 딱 그 진입할 때 약했던 그건 어쩔 수 없어. 어쨌든 5초가 늘어나니까 이러면 불복을 아마 써야 될 겁니다. 불복을. 다시 불복을 써야 될 거고. 하기 싫어진다. 그래요. 이 앞에 것만 주면 되는데 이 쿨다운을 왜 붙인 거예요, 이걸? 너무 이것만 쓸까봐 그랬나 봐요. 아, 이게 진짜 애매하다. 그리고 이게 이제 월출. 이것도 공격 위상이에요. 공격 위상. 기본 스킬 쓰면 어택 스피드가 10초 동안 올라가서 5번 중천까지. 그러면 공속 20%. 강령이랑은 전혀 상관이 없죠. 뭐 도적이라든가 드루라든가 아니면 뭐 바바도 기본 스킬을 섞을 수는 있으니까 기본 스킬을 섞을 수 있는 직업이 이제 이걸 쓰겠죠. 근데 공격 위상이라서 낄 자리가 있을까 모르겠어요. 그래서 5스택을 쌓으면 베이직 스킬 데미지랑 15번 이속 15% 똑같죠. 저번 시즌의 월출이랑 효과는 똑같습니다. 지금 베이직 스킬 데미지를 올린 것들이 은근히 많아서 얘까지 쓰면은 기본 스킬을 엄청 강하게 할 수 있는. 이렇게 되면은 원소들은 이거 좋아하겠죠. 원소 같은 경우에는 지금 플리커 빌드 할 때 기본 스킬만 써가지고 공속까지 올리고 데미지도 올리고 이속까지 올릴 수 있어요. 원소들은 아마 어떻게든 쓸 자리를 만들어야겠죠. 지금도 자리가 없긴 하지만. 그리고 이건 이제 보조 위상으로 나왔어요. 보조 위상. 머리 갑바에도 바를 수 있는 거죠. 보조 위상. 보조 위상은 기본 스킬을 5번 쓸 때마다 쿨다운이 4초까지 줄어든다. 이거예요. 쿨 줄여야 되는 직업 같은 경우에 그럼 얘랑 월출이랑 얘가 이름이 뭐였죠? 어쨌든 이 두 개를 같이 쓰면은 기본 스킬 데미지가 올라가면서 나머지 쿨다운이 줄어드는 방식으로 빌드들이 조금 바뀔 것 같습니다. 기본 스킬 쓰는 특히 플리커 빌드는 좀 많이 바꿔야겠네요. 그렇습니다. 이게 이제 여러분들이 가장 궁금했던 이 흡혈귀 힘. 그러면 이거는 이번 시즌에만 들어가는 게 아니라 이제 영원히 있는 거예요. 영원히. 그러니까 좀 많이 바뀌겠죠. 천지가 개벽할 겁니다. 개벽할 건데
It's coming back.
탈퇴 말고는 지금 낄 자리가 없다는 거예요. 탈퇴 말고는 낄 자리가
So you know you
없어요.
got a little bit of gathering up a ton of buffs and then like one shotting a boss.
그 스냅샷 아까 말한 것처럼 없앴어요. 여기서 되게 웃긴 게 뭐냐면 이번 이제 점오 패치죠. 점오 패치에서 스냅샷 없애고 건틀렛에서는 스킬 못 바꾼다고 해놓고 갑자기 로그 나왔어요. 로그. 무속 버그가 엄청 중요하다고 생각을 했나 봐요. 무속 버그가 중요하다고 생각을 해서 바로 죽여버렸습니다. 그 프리시즌 키 패시브도 죽여버렸고, 그러니까 그냥 도적 왜 가만히 안 놔두죠? 이해가 안 가네. 그래서 클래스 업데이트가 아까 얘기 드린 그게 다예요. 바바리안이 여기서 얘기를 해요. Right now, very powerful 이라고 자기들끼리 얘기를 해놓고 근데 너프는 없어. 피드백에 대한 건 우리는 항상 오픈해놨어. 근데 우리는 이번 시즌은 그대로 가기로 결정했대요. 미치겠다. 일하기 싫다죠. 우리는 이미 시즌4에 대한 걸 해놨고 시즌4에 집중할 거니까 시즌3는 그냥 대충 해. 이거예요. 그러면서 갑자기 생뚱맞게 안 쓰는 스킬들 버프를 해줬어요. 나 진짜 어이가 없다. 차지 버프는 없대요. 휘린드도 버프한 거예요. 미친 거 아니에요? 어쨌든 소서리스는 그래서 이 소각 관련된 거 상향을 많이 했습니다. 소각 관련된 걸 상황해서 그냥 40%를 올려버렸고 뭐 이래저래 댐감도 올려줬고 시간도 늘려주고 그래서 소각 쭉 올려줘서 이것 좀 해라. 너네 아직도 번개만 하냐. 이런데 안 하겠죠. 딜이 문제가 아니니까 지금. 그 드루이드 같은 경우에는 이 기본 스킬들 버프한 것들이 바바리안 똑같이 막 강해졌다 어쩌고저쩌고 하다가 어쨌든 컴패니언 데미지도 버프를 한대요. 이것도 있긴 해요. 드루이드 동료들 데미지도 올렸어요. 동료 관련된 거. 동료 좋아하시는 분들도 있으니까. 그 다음에 안 쓰는 것들도 패시브 버프하는데 자세한 얘기는 안 했어요. 그러니까 좀 대충만 얘기했거든요. 대충만. 그래서 나중에 제대로 올라올 때 보면은 엄청 길게 써 있을 거예요. 이런 식으로 이 정도로 세진다는 거예요. 148, 298 들어가던 게 거의 10배 세지겠다는 거예요. 이게 보면은 번개도 번개인데 이 아마 늑대 데미지를 보여주고 있는 것 같아요. 동료들의 데미지가 거의 10배 세진다는 거죠. 그래서 동료 특히 늑대라고 했어요. 늑대를 강하게 하겠다. 그 다음에 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 도적은 기본 스킬, 활 기본 스킬 2개에 대해서 공속을 올려줬고, 안 쓰니까. 근데 공속 때문에 안 쓰는 건 아닌데, 어쨌든 공속 올려줬고, 저거였죠? 연타 올려주고, 정밀도에 대해서 6에서 4로 좀 더 필 배럴 할 거래요. 그 다음에 이거예요. 탄막이 갈라질 때 25% 확률로 2개의 에로가 딱 되는 거를 데미지를 40% to 80%. 탄막이 갈라질 때 데미지가 40에서 80%까지 증가되고, 그 다음에 아예 바뀌는 거예요. 아예. 그리고 갈라질 때 60% 확률로 또 갈라지고, 그러니까 25%였던 게 60%로 올라가고, 데미지도 올라가고. 원래는 또 한 번 갈라질 확률만 있었는데 이거를 데미지까지 올려줬거든요. 그래서 제 생각에는 저렇게 모팩이 좀 여기저기 퍼져 있고, 아까 건틀렛 보면 퍼져 있고, 그렇게 많지도 않고, 애들이 피통도 작고 이러니까 제 생각에는 탐방이 짱일 것 같습니다. 키워놓은 도적도 한번 해야겠네요. 이렇게 바뀐다. 그리고 네크로맨서는 아까 말씀드린 미니언 버프. 어쨌든 대충은 해놓은 거예요. 아주 그래도 살짝 버프는 하긴 했습니다. 뭐 안 한 건 아니니까. 그리고 많은 것들을 이제 시즌 4에 하겠대요. 지금은 안 한다는 거예요. 지금은 안 할 거고, 해놓은 것도 없고, 우리는 시간도 없고, 아무것도 없고, 우리는 능력도 없고, 멍청한 놈들이기 때문에 이것만 먹고 떨어져라. 시즌 4에 할 거다. 어디서 많이 들었죠? 시즌 2에서 3 들어올 때도 나중에 하겠다, 나중에 하겠다, 나중에 하겠다를 지금 계속 나중에 하겠다 얘기하고 있어요. 언제까지 나중에 할 건데 도대체. 아까 말씀드린 가시만 주는 게 아니라 방어도도 주고, 원거리 데미지 증가를 이속으로 바꿔버렸고, 핵심 스킬인 마른병이랑 쇄도랑 절단을 버프를 한다. 그래서 이게 완전 웃음벨인데, 무브먼트 스피드를 올린 게 이제 클래스 업데이트라는 거예요. 강령의 무브먼트 스피드를 올려주겠다. 완전 지금 잘못 짚고 있죠. 지금 강령의 문제가 이속이다. 근데 무브먼트 스피드 올려준 것도 아니야. 이 스킬을 찍어야지 올라가는 거잖아요. 여따 찍을 스킬 포인트가 없다고. 우리가 무슨 스킬 포인트가 남아 도는 줄 알아. 아, 열받는다 진짜. 그렇대요. 뭐 그렇습니다. 자세하게는. 그래서 이제 클래스별 어쩌고저쩌고 막 얘기를 했어요. 중요한 건 없습니다. 뭐 이런 식으로 얘기를 했어요. 그리고 이제 도는 걸 보여주는데, 이 친구 둘이서 돌았거든요. 돌았는데 거의 그 여두루 평타두루 수준으로 정말 엉망진창으로 돌았습니다. 이 친구는 영어를 뭐라고 하는지 하나도 못 알아듣고. 소서 맨 처음에 강령부터 했거든요. 네, 뼈창으로 했어요. 그놈의 뼈창. 국내들은 뼈창 말고는 모르는 것 같아요. 뼈창으로 해서 돌았는데 19만 점 나왔고, 소서로 돌았는데 소서는 딱 20만 점 나왔거든요. 소서가 딱 10,000점 더 먹었어요. 그리고 여기서 보면은 이 중간중간에 이 상자들이 있죠. 상자들을 열면은 점수를 줍니다. 근데 이 상자를 어떻게 하냐면, 이 정예 같은 거 잡으면 키를 줘요. 아이언 키를 줘서 아이언 키를 먹으면 상자를 열 수 있는 방식. 그리고 중간중간에 이런 첨탑들이 정해져 있는데, 이 보스들을, 보스 있잖아요. 이게 다 고정이에요. 던전 들어가면 항상 똑같습니다. 얘를 잡으면, 이렇게 잡으면 무조건 신단을 줘요. 저렇게 신단. 보스 잡으면 신단을 줘요. 그러니까 아까도 얘기했지만, 신단 신발이나 이속의 신단 지속 시간도 제가 보기에는 유의미 할 수 있어요. 이런 식으로 이제 상자가 아까도 어떤 친구도 여기 똑같이 왔는데 맵이 같은 맵이다 보니까 여기 보면 큰 상자 있고 조그만 상자 있죠. 아이언키를 큰 상자에 연 거예요. 이런 것도 이제 루트가 나오겠죠.
We entered this
아이언키를 무제한으로 얻을 수 있는 건 아니니까 큰 것만 딱 열고 빠져요.
So yeah, you need to
이런 거 이제 전략적으로 해야겠죠. 그래서 21만을 찍었어요. 강령보다 2만을 더 찍었죠. 그 다음에
absolutely
바로
fly
바바를 해줍니다.
this dungeon.
Bit deep on details.
그래서 이제 좀 뭐 못해요. 잘 못해. 잘 못하는데 보시면은 거의 3분이 남았는데 원소랑 점수가 비슷해요. 딱 현실을 보여준 거거든요. 이 친구들이 3분이 남았는데 이미 강령을 넘어섰어요.
Really, really
차이가 거의 말이 안 되죠.
core and
will be
이렇게 해서 30만대로 끝납니다. 그러니까 거의 강령의 2배 몹을 잡고 끝나요. 그 다음에
Post that
Q&A를 하는
feedback
거고.
on, Reddit forum.
여기까지. 이렇게 영상은 딱 이 정도만 아시면 됩니다. 이 영상은 다시 한번 올려드릴게요. 올려드릴 거고 흡혈 게임은 6개 준다. 위상으로 주고 뭐 이렇다. 이것들은 이제 뭐 나중에 자세하게 다시 말씀드릴 거고 스냅샷 없어지고요. 건틀렛 들어가면 못 바꾸고 청지기 딜 너프 되니까 청지기는 여전히 서포터로 쓰고 도적 무속 보고 없어지고 바바리안은 아주 강하지만 너프는 안 할 거고 안 쓰는 철갑 피부 라인이랑 발구르기, 선조의 부름, 휘린드 관련된 유니크 버프해주고 원소로사는 소각 쪽, 화염 쪽을 버프해주고 드루이드는 폭풍 실드랑 동료 버프, 동료 버프가 있어요. 거의 10배 세진다고 합니다. 거의 10배. 도적은 활 기본 스킬 공속 증가, 연타 10% 버프, 정밀도 요구치 버프, 탄막, 떡상, 하늘사냥꾼 탄막이 아마 좋을 것 같고 무속도 안 쓰니까 강령술사 같은 경우에 소환수들 조금씩 해줬는데 결국에는 다음 시즌에 해주겠다. 중요한 거는 아머 추가랑 이속 추가를 해준 거. 핵심 스킬 3가지. 마른병 쇠도 절단 올렸고 건틀렛은 몸 레벨이 124, 125니까 사실상 70, 80단 지금 악던. 그럼 이제 건틀렛을 준비를 하실 분들은 악던 100단을 도실 게 아니고 7, 80단을 도셔야겠죠. 보스가 한 팩 정도니까 당연히 보스를 많이 잡는 게 중요하다. 오버크래프팅을 5개에서 4개로 줄였다. 시즌4는 PTR을 할 거고 매 시즌 하지는 않을 거다. 건틀렛 리더보드를 프로파일 스크린 떠서 그 사람의 모든 걸 볼 수 있게 할 거다. 빌드 수합에 대해서는 얘기하고 있다. 언제 할지 모른다. 이게 끝입니다. 화형식 정리 끝.